Chapter 976. You must be my junior sister's friend. My name is Qin Feng. Before my honorable teacher comes out of his closed-door meditation, I'm in charge of everything in the village. Qin Feng smiled faintly. He looked at Chu Kuangren and continued, May I know how you met my junior sister? This person was hostile towards him. Chu Kuangren noticed Qin Feng's strange behavior and smirked. Before he could say anything, Xue Qinxin who was beside him could not help but say, Senior brother, I don't think I need to tell you about brother Chu. This is between me and brother Chu. If she told Qin Feng that she was in danger, it would be the same as telling her mother about it. If that happened, she would definitely be reprimanded. Junior sister, you're still young and inexperienced. Humans can be sinister, so you have to be careful. I'm doing this for your own good, Qin Feng said. His words were just short of calling Chu Kuangren a bad person. Xue Qinxin was furious. Senior brother, what do you mean? I'm not a child anymore, you don't have to worry about me. Miss Qinxin, you should listen to your senior brother. Humans can be sinister, and this person is so secretive that he doesn't even want to show his face. There must be something fishy going on. Yuan Su sneered. Then, his figure flashed as he tried to grab the spiritual aura on Chu Kuangren's face. How dare you! Before Yuan Su could get close, Lan Yu, who was behind Chu Kuangren, had already attacked with a punch. Now that Lan Yu had obtained the inheritance of the winged human immortal, her cultivation level had already reached the level of a heavenly master. Coupled with her radiant combat immortal physique, she was no weaker than a celestial seed ruler. Yuan Su was only a celestial seed ruler. When the fist and palm collided, the void trembled and Yuan Su was forced back a few dozen feet. The surging palm chi also dispersed the spiritual aura on Lan Yu's face, revealing a cold, beautiful face. Everyone was stunned when they saw it. Xue Qinxin's eyes were filled with amazement, but she was also a little jealous. So brother Chu has such a beautiful companion by his side. Yuan Su, who was sent flying by the punch, looked at Lan Yu in bewilderment. Although he was stunned by her beauty, he was even more shocked by her strength. After all, he was a celestial seed giant. Moreover, he was definitely at the very top among celestial seed giants. It wouldn't be wrong to say that he was only second to celestial seed kings. Despite that, Lan Yu still managed to push him back with a single move. Immortal seed giant? Could it be a king of immortal seeds? Realizing that the other party's strength was not to be underestimated, Yuan Su did not dare to offend him. He stood where he was and stopped attacking. On the other hand, Qin Feng was also shocked as he looked at Chu Kuangren solemnly. I still don't know your name, sir. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Is it a trend for you guys to attack first before asking for the other person's name? The mockery in his words was very obvious. As he spoke, the light on his face dissipated and a handsome face appeared, causing everyone to be dazed. He looked at Xue Qinxin and said, Lady Xue, I don't have much of a reputation, so I've been covering my face with spirit light. I forgot to remove the spirit light when I came to see you. I'm sorry. Xue Qinxin quickly shook her head. It's all right. In the crowd, one of the celestial seeds stared at Chu Kuangren as his pupils gradually trembled. He said, He's Chu Kuangren. Someone recognized Chu Kuangren. In an instant, the crowd was in an uproar. After all, Chu Kuangren's reputation in the immortal realm was like the sun in the sky. No one could compare to him. To most cultivators and even the celestial seeds, a person like Chu Kuangren was like an unreachable god. Yet now, this god had appeared in front of them. Chu Kuangren, it's you. Yuan Su was also extremely shocked. Although he was belittling Chu Kuangren earlier, a person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. Chu Kuangren's high reputation was enough to prove that his strength was extraordinary. Yuan Su actually wanted to attack such a person just now. Oh God! Did he have a death wish just now? That's me. Do you have any doubts, sir? Chu Kuangren glanced at Yuan Su. Just one glance was enough to make Yuan Su shiver as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Horrifying. Yuan Su's body trembled, and he could not help but feel his legs turn into jelly. He then collapsed onto the ground with cold sweat on his forehead. He was so scared that he went limp. That scene shocked the other celestial seeds. F***ck me. That was just too horrifying. Just one glance was enough to scare a celestial seed overlord into such a state. They were on two completely different levels. Gulp, Qin Feng could not help but gulp as he said in shock, so it's Brother Chu. My apologies. He did not dare to show any hostility anymore. The person in front of him was a heaven-defying and immortal-slaying lord. He had offended the sacred city, the divine flame church, the Golden Hill Temple, and even the Wudong Mountain, a divine beast tribe. His actions were so crazy that it was unbelievable. Although the Nine Firmament Huan Manor had Guqin Guan as their leader, they were not as powerful as the few forces above them in terms of resources. In other words, if he dared to say anything that he should not, the other party might just kill him if he was unhappy. He had already offended a bunch of immortal-grade orthodoxies, so what if he offended the Nine Firmament Huan Manor? At that thought, he could not help but feel his legs turn to jelly. Just like Yuan Su, he almost fell to the ground. Brother Chu, let's ignore them. Since you've just arrived at the Nine Firmament Huan Manor, let me show you around. Xue Qinxin said. Chu Kuangren nodded. Then I'll have to trouble you. After Chu Kuangren and the others left, Qin Feng, Yuan Su, and the others were still stunned on the spot for a long time. I can't believe it's someone like him. Yeah, I can't believe the heaven-defying and immortal-slaying Chu Kuangren would appear at the Nine Firmament Huan Manor. Do you guys think he's here to participate in the Nine Firmament Banquet too? If that's the case, then this Nine Firmament Banquet is going to be interesting. TSK, no wonder Lady Xue was so excited. It turns out that her friend is someone like Chu Kuangren. It's not that rare for her to fall in love with someone like him. Even I want to ride on someone like him. The few celestial seeds discussed among themselves. Meanwhile, Yuan Su, who was paralyzed on the ground, had already stood up. His face was a little gloomy. As a celestial seed leader of the great primordial god dynasty, how could he be so scared? However, when he thought of Chu Kuangren's gaze just now, he felt a chill down his spine. That person was too terrifying. I'm afraid even Big Brother is no match for this person. Rumor has it that this person has even killed celestial seed kings. I guess it's true. Yuan Su thought helplessly. If it were someone else, he might have thought of fighting. However, against Chu Kuangren, he did not even dare to think about it. Qin Feng, we've lost. Yuan Su took a deep breath and said. It was not worth it to go against Chu Kuangren just for Xue Qinxin. No, I haven't lost yet. As long as I'm recognized by the celestial zither during the Nine Firmament Banquet, my honorable teacher will definitely betroth junior sister to me. This Nine Firmament Huan Manor will still be mine. Qin Feng's eyes were filled with determination. Chapter 977. Under Xue Qinxin's arrangement, Chu Kuangren temporarily stayed in the Nine Firmament Ring Ornament Manor. With Xue Qinxin's status as the Guqin Crown's daughter, it was a piece of cake for her to arrange a few more guest rooms for them. Jiu Shao Huan Pei Manor, in the guest room. Chu Kuangren sat cross-legged as he tried to derive his exquisite nine orifices sword heart. He wanted to upgrade his Taoist physique to the immortal physique level. And this process was almost over. Buzz, Chu Kuangren's body suddenly emitted an incomparably mysterious wave that spread in all directions. Beside him, the Kun Wu sword was the first to sense this fluctuation. It couldn't help but tremble slightly and let out a crisp sword cry. Outside the house, Jianguan also fiercely opened his eyes. The Green Lotus immortal sword in his body trembled and had an impulse to fly out of his body. This feeling, is it the Sword Dao immortal physique? Someone has awakened an immortal body related to Sword Dao. Who is it? This direction is, Sword Crown sensed the source of the fluctuation of the immortal body, and his expression suddenly became a little strange. It's young master. He realized that he could not see through Chu Kuangren anymore. Previously, he had used the zither to prove his Dao. Now, there was a sword Dao immortal physique. What was going on? When I'm with the young master, there are always surprises. Jian Guan shook his head and smiled. In the outside world, the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart's upgrade to an immortal body emitted a mysterious wave that enveloped the entire 9 heavens Huan Pei Manor. Inside the mountain village, the sword cultivators who had come to attend the feast of the 9th heaven sensed something. Their faces fell, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Someone awakened the sword Dao immortal physique. What kind of immortal physique is this? The mystic sword physique? Supreme sword bone? Or the indestructible sword immortal body? But these fluctuations don't seem like it. Within the mountain manor, the swords within every sword cultivator's body flew out uncontrollably towards Chu Kuangren's direction. After a while, in the sky above Chu Kuangren's room, countless longswords hovered in the air. Sword chi from the heavens and earth converged, as if they were welcoming the honorable 10,000 swords. This scene shocked countless sword cultivators. Not only Jiu Shao Huan Pei Manor. Instead, with Jiu Shao Huan Pei Manor as the center, all the swords within billions of miles sensed it and let out sword cries. It was as if they were paying respect to the birth of the King of Swords. The mighty figures of the Qinglan immortal world were also shocked by this strange phenomenon. This aura, a sword Dao immortal physique, has been born. Moreover, it's not an ordinary immortal physique, I'm afraid it's a high-level sword Dao immortal physique. 5th grade immortal physique, common, profound, king, sovereign. To be able to cause such a phenomenon, it must be a king-grade immortal physique. In the entire history of the Qinglan immortal world, there have only been a few king-grade immortal physiques. That direction is the Jiu Shao Huan Pei Manor. Strange, isn't that where a group of zither players stay? The mighty figures of the Qinglan immortal world were amazed. Among them, some tried to deduce the identity of the person who awakened the king-grade immortal physique. But no matter how these people tried to deduce it, they couldn't find anything. Some people refused to believe it and forcefully tried to deduce it. But in the end, they all suffered a backlash. It cannot be divined. Taboo. In one of the pavilions, a white-bearded old man looked in the direction of Jiu Shao Huan Pei Manor with a pale face. How can there be such an anomaly? The past, the future, and even the present are all nothingness. Even the destined one in the prophecy doesn't have such a fate. Who is this person who awakened the immortal physique? Reincarnation of a mighty figure? Cosmic taboo? Innate deity? Countless thoughts flashed through the white-bearded old man's mind. In the end, he knew that this person was the biggest taboo in this world. Meanwhile, in Jiu Shao Huan Pei Manor, Chu Kuangren, who had upgraded the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart to an immortal physique, smiled in satisfaction. He had also sensed the swords that flew in due to the fluctuations of the immortal physique. How eye-catching! Chu Kuangren curled his lips. He waved his sleeves. In an instant, the long swords flew out one after another. The sword cultivators who had been watching hurriedly rushed up and grabbed their swords one by one. Then, they looked at the house where Chu Kuangren was in shock. What kind of people are inside? The person who awakened the immortal physique must be in there. But who is this person? Is there such a person in Jiu Shao Huan Pei Manor? Some cultivators could not hold back their curiosity. In a flash, they flew towards the house, wanting to find out what was going on. However, before he could get close, a surge of majestic emperor's chi swept out like a raging wave and blasted him away. Back off! A cold voice rang out. Suddenly, a huge domineering aura pressed down on everyone's chests, making it hard for them to breathe. Not daring to delay, everyone quickly left. Meanwhile, in the distance, a young man in a golden robe looked at where Chu Kuangren was with a strange look in his golden eyes. I can't believe someone among the humans has awakened the Sword Dao immortal physique. What a surprise. It's not just the immortal physique. This person's strength is extraordinary as well. Even if he's not an immortal, he's at least a top-notch half-immortal. Beside the young man, a golden-haired old man said. A top-notch half-immortal. Ha, there's nothing to fear. The young man shook his head. No matter what, we must get our hands on that Jiu Shao Huan Pei. No matter what tricks this Guqin crown has up its sleeves, this will never change. Inside the room, Chu Kuangren took some time to adapt to the new abilities of the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. This immortal physique could increase the power of his sword techniques, and it could also help him understand the Sword Dao origin energy. It was somewhat useful to him. However, it was just a little. Chu Kuangren's current strength could no longer be greatly improved by just 1 or 2 immortal physiques. The Book of Physiques allows one to master many types of physiques, but too many physiques will only make things messy. Looks like I'll have to think of a way to solve this problem. Chu Kuangren murmured. Analyzing physiques, mastering them, and upgrading them. Can I combine all of them together? Combine thousands of physiques and transform them into one. The more Chu Kuangren thought about it, the more he felt that this was the next direction for his research on the Book of Physiques. However, he only had one idea for now. He had not found a breakthrough yet, so this matter could not be rushed. I'll first upgrade the rest of the physiques to immortal physiques. Once they're upgraded, they'll help me master more origin energy. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. He set his goal on the chaotic physique. This was the #1 physique among the firmament star's 3,000 physiques, and it was also his next goal to upgrade to an immortal physique. If there were no accidents, it would not be long before he could master the chaotic origin energy. Just as Chu Kuangren was upgrading his chaotic physique, the 9 Heavens banquet began as scheduled. Countless musicians gathered in the hall. Other than the musicians, there were also many powerful cultivators. They did not cultivate musical Dao, but they were still attracted by the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. One could see how tempting this immortal weapon was. Not to mention, the Jiu Shao Huan Pei was not an ordinary immortal weapon. Guqin Crown once said that the Jiu Shao Huan Pei was very likely to be a heavenly immortal weapon. In the Green Orchid immortal realm, earthly immortal weapons were rare, let alone heavenly immortal weapons. This was something that even immortals would be extremely tempted by. Chapter 978. The 9 Firmament Huan Pei is famous, but I've never had the chance to see it. Today, I finally have the chance to see it. Not bad. I wonder what this legendary celestial Guqin looks like. I'm really looking forward to it. On an empty training ground in the 9 Firmament Huan Pei Manor, musicians and cultivators gathered to witness the legendary celestial weapon. The 9 Firmament Huan Pei shall be mine. At that moment, an indifferent voice was heard. A middle-aged man in a white robe walked over with a Guqin on his back. His aura flowed with rich origin energy. Although he was not an immortal, he was not far from it. This person was already a top-notch half-immortal on the path of immortal ascension. The crowd gasped when they saw him. It's him, musician Tian Yu. Rumor has it that this person has survived the 9 calamities, the fire calamity. His strength is second only to an immortal. Other than the Guqin crown, this person is also one of the best in Guqin Dao. He really came to this 9 firmament banquet. The crowd looked at the middle-aged man in white in surprise. At that moment, a celestial light flowed not far away, accompanied by a shocking sword intent. A man in a green robe slowly walked over. Some people's eyes narrowed when they saw this person. It's him, one of the Green Orchid dual swords, Duguyu of the Spirit Emperor Mountain, one of the 12 Celestial Seed Kings. I can't believe even a Celestial Seed King would show up. The Green Orchid dual swords were the 2 most outstanding Sword Dao celestial seeds among the younger generation of the Green Orchid immortal realm. Duguyu of the Spirit Emperor Mountain and Yi Feichen of the Dragon Song Sword sect were both among the 12 Celestial Seed Kings. Duguyu swept his gaze across the crowd and said, a few days ago, someone here awakened the sword Tao's celestial physique. I wonder who it was. Hearing this, everyone came to a sudden realization. So it was because of the sword Tao's celestial physique. Duguyu was a sword cultivator, so it made sense that he would be attracted here. However, Chu Kuangren had been living in seclusion for the past few days, so no one knew that he had awakened the sword Tao's celestial physique. After asking a series of questions to no avail, Duguyu retreated to the side and did not say anything else. Apart from searching for the sword Tao immortal body, he also wanted to see this so-called immortal Zither 9 Heavens ring pendant. The heavenly moon Zither master and Duguyu showed up one after another, adding to the excitement of the Feast of the Nine Firmaments. Then, other famous Zither masters and cultivators arrived one after another. It's the prince of the great Yuan god dynasty, Yuan Su. He's one of the top immortal seeds. It's fairy Qingyue. She's here too. She and Qin Feng, the disciple of the Zither crown, are known as the dragons and phoenixes of the younger generation. There's also Shang Chanwan. She's also Qin Guan's disciple. It's said that her Tao of the Zither is unconventional, and she's known as the demonic Zither. Qin Guan doesn't like her, and she spends most of her time outside. Now, she's back. In a loft not far away, Chu Kuangren could not help but yawn as he watched the young immortal seeds and musical Taoists appear one after another. When is this Jiu Shao Huan Pei coming out? He came here for Jiu Shao Huan Pei. As for the others, he didn't care at all. Mother will come out of seclusion today. At that time, fellow Chu will be able to see Jiu Shao Huan Pei. But fellow Chu, do you also know how to play the zither? Xue Qinxin asked curiously. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. I know a thing or two. Upon hearing his words, Sword Crown and Little Fox were shocked. One could not help but roll her eyes, while the other's mouth twitched. Know a thing or two. You've already proven your Tao with the zither, yet you only know a thing or two. Xue Qinxin did not think too much about it. She really thought that Chu Kuangren only knew a thing or two. After all, who would have thought that a sword Tao immortal physique and a celestial seed with exceptional sword techniques could also prove his Tao with the zither? That's impossible, right? Roar! Just as Chu Kuangren was waiting for the Jiu Shao Huan Pei to appear, a dragon's roar suddenly came from the sky. The sea of clouds rumbled as a golden dragon silhouette soared through the clouds. Its terrifying domineering aura shocked everyone present. Chu Kuangren could not help but be attracted. Dragon tribe, the golden divine dragon then transformed into a handsome man in a golden robe, attracting everyone's attention. The dragon tribe of the divine dragon island is here too. F***ck even a divine beast is here. The true dragon has 5 attributes. This dragon's entire body is golden, so it must be made of metal. TSK, I've never heard of anyone on the Dragon Island who's an expert in musical Tao. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They stared at the golden divine dragon in shock. I'm Jean E of the Dragon Island, and I'm here to claim the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. Jean E said. The crowd frowned. From what he said, it seemed like he was determined to get the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. If they fought with him, would it mean that they would become enemies with the Dragon Island? At that thought, most of the people had already given up. The Dragon Island was definitely the most powerful force in the Green Orchid Immortal realm, and it originated from the immortal ancient era. Compared to them, even immortal orthodoxies like the Divine Flame Church and Celestial Capital were slightly inferior. Going against them without a powerful background was simply asking for death. The Jiu Shao Huan Pei belongs to the most capable. If the true dragon is recognized by the Jiu Shao Huan Pei, it will naturally belong to you. A cold voice was heard. Then, a light purple guqin that was emanating an immortal glow descended from the sky and landed in front of the crowd. Its majestic aura swept across the area, causing many of the guqin artists and cultivators to be pushed back a few meters. A silhouette dashed out from the depths of the manor and arrived before the guqin. The newcomer was wearing a long white dress, simple and elegant. Even without any makeup, she was already as beautiful as a fairy, stunning everyone. This person was Qin Guan. The Guqin before her was the reason why everyone was here. It was rumored that no one could play the ancient divine Guqin. Jiu Shao Huan Pei. This is the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. It sure lives up to its name. What a dazzling divine Guqin. Everyone looked at the Jiu Shao Huan Pei with heated gazes. Jin Yi's eyes were even brighter, with the wudong as the face and the purple robe as the base. It really is the legendary divine Guqin, Jiu Shao Huan Pei. Long Zi, you have a good eye. However, to play this Guqin, it depends on your ability. Qin Guan said softly. With a wave of her sleeve, a stone table appeared and the Jiu Shao Huan Pei was placed on the stone table. Then, lines of seals were spread out in the void, intersecting with each other like the strings of a Guqin. Everyone, the Jiu Shao Huan Pei is here. The Nine Heavens banquet has begun, but no one is allowed to touch this divine Guqin. Those who wish to play the Jiu Shao Huan Pei will have to pass through my seals first, Qin Guan said before retreating to the side. Not far away, Shui Qinqin walked up. Mother, you're finally out. Yes. Qin Guan smiled and nodded. Then, she looked at Chu Kuangren and the others who were walking behind her, and her eyes narrowed. Especially when she saw Qin Guan, she took a deep breath and said, Li Juexin, you're finally back. Ha, old friend, long time no see. Jian Guan smiled faintly. Qin Guan then looked at Chu Kuangren, and her eyes lit up. If I'm not mistaken, this handsome young man here is Chu Kuangren. Greetings, Qin Guan. Chu Kuangren bowed. Qin Guan, you really followed him? Yes. Qin Guan nodded. Qin Guan looked at Chu Kuangren carefully. To have Qin Guan as your follower, you must have something special about you. I've been in closed-door meditation for the past few days, so I didn't have the chance to entertain you well. Qin Guan, you're too kind. We're very grateful for Lady Shue's hospitality for the past few days. Chu Kuangren smiled. The few of them exchanged some pleasantries. Then, they set their sights on the Nine Heavens banquet. Chapter 979. Jiuxiao Banquet. Due to the restrictions set up by the Zither Crown, many Zither masters and cultivators were isolated and unable to get close. Only a few had the ability to break the restrictions and tried to play Jiuxiao Huan Pei. Among them, Tian Yu's movements were the fastest. In a flash, the origin of Zither surged around him and rushed into the restrictions. The restrictions couldn't stop him at all. Soon, he was in front of Jiuxiao Huan Pei. This Zither is mine. He was overjoyed and reached for the Zither. His fingers plucked the strings. But the next second, his expression changed. The Zither didn't move and didn't make a sound. Oomph, I don't believe it. How can there be a Zither that doesn't play? I must not have used enough strength. Tian Yu's expression darkened. He channeled his origin energy into Jiuxiao Huan Pei in an attempt to play it. But it was useless. No matter how much origin energy he channeled, Jiuxiao Huan Pei still didn't move. How can this be? I am a top half immortal and my origin energy is second only to the Zither immortal. How can there be a Zither in this world that I can't play? This is impossible. Tian Yu Zither Master said with an uncertain expression. Just then, a shocking sword intent exploded and tore open the restrictions. Duguyu, the king of holy seeds from Spirit King Mountain, arrived before Jiuxiao Huan Pei. He didn't know much about Zither but he wanted to try and see if he could play Jiuxiao Huan Pei. If he succeeded, he would have made a fortune. He stepped forward expectantly and plucked the strings. But it was useless. Jiuxiao Huan Pei still didn't move. I knew it. Duguyu shook his head and sighed. He ignored it and stepped aside. The rest of the famous Zither masters broke through the restriction and came before Jiuxiao Huan Pei, but none of them could play the celestial Zither. This Zither is different. Normal methods can't play it, but it might work if I use my own understanding of the Zither. Qin Feng said. He placed his hand on Jiu Xiao Huanpei and began to feel the mysterious power of the zither. Everyone else's eyes lit up when they saw this. Not bad, let's try with our understanding of the zither. Maybe it really works. Everyone activated their own Guqin Wei source power, which contained their comprehension of the Guqin Wei, in an attempt to activate Jiu Xiao Huanpei. However, no matter what they did, there was no effect at all. Jiu Xiao Huanpei was not moved at all. Not far away. Qin Guan couldn't help but shake his head. If it's so easy to play Jiu Xiao Huanpei, then it's too easy. She scanned the crowd with anticipation, but after a while, she looked away in disappointment. Xue Qinxin asked curiously, "Mother, what's wrong?" Not long ago, someone in the Qinglan immortal world became a zither immortal. That person's zither Dao caused Jiu Xiao Huanpei to resonate with him. This is also one of the reasons why I'm holding this banquet. I hope to attract that zither immortal here. That person might be the owner of Jiu Xiao Huanpei. Unfortunately, that person isn't here. Qin Guan shook his head and said. Upon hearing that, the little fox and sword crown could not help but look at Chu Kuangren. Others may not know, but how could they not know? The zither immortal who resonated with Jiu Xiao Huanpei was standing in front of them. However, Chu Kuangren did not make any moves, so they did not say anything. Sword Crown glanced at Qin Guan and found it funny. Oh, my good friend. No matter how hard you think, you'll never know that the zither immortal you speak of is right in front of you. He did not say it out loud. He wanted to see what kind of expression Qin Guan would have when he found out about this. At the Nine Heavens banquet. One by one, the zither masters and cultivators tried to play Jiu Xiao Huanpei, but none of them succeeded. At that moment, a dragon roar was heard. Jin Yi from the godly dragon island came before Jiu Xiao Huanpei and reached out to grab the strings. His origin energy surged violently, trying to play it by force. However, he was sent flying by a huge backlash. This divine zither really lives up to its name. However, this is the only way it's valuable. This zither is good enough as a betrothal gift. Jin Yi laughed. The crowd was shocked when they heard that. Betrothal gift? What betrothal gift? However, before they could think too much, Jin Yi reached out to grab Jiu Xiao Huanpei. He wanted to take it by force. The rest of the people's expressions changed. How dare you? Dragon Son, how can you do this? The crowd tried to stop Jin Yi from fighting for Jiu Xiao Huanpei. However, Jin Yi's gaze froze and he said coldly, "This Jiu Xiao Huanpei, regardless of whether I can play it or not, I want it. Do you want to go against the godly dragon island?" As soon as he said that, everyone was speechless. Go against the godly dragon island? Unless they were tired of living. However, Jiu Xiao Huanpei was an extremely rare celestial artifact. They were reluctant to give it up just like that. Forget it. I can't play Jiu Xiao Huanpei anyway. There's no need to go against the godly dragon island for a useless celestial artifact. That's right. Just let it go. Some of the zither players sighed and could not help but stop. Even Qin Feng, the eldest disciple of Jiu Xiao Huanpei Manor, took a few steps back when he felt Jin Yi's powerful aura. Although he was unwilling, he really did not have the courage to go against Jin Yi. Putting aside the forces behind Jin Yi's cultivation is comparable to a celestial seed king. He is not someone he can fight. There was only one woman left standing in front of Jin Yi. It was a woman in a black dress and holding a black zither. This zither belongs to Jiu Xiao Huanpei Manor. Without the approval of the zither master or the manor master, no one else is allowed to take it. The woman said indifferently. She was another disciple of the zither crown, Shang Chanwan. Rumor had it that Shang Chanwan was not favored by the zither crown because of her unconventional zither Dao. However, ironically, only she dared to stand out and protect the reputation of Jiu Xiao Huanpei Manor. Oh, you want to stop me? Do you have what it takes? Jin Yi sneered. As he raised his hand, violent dragon energy waves erupted, turning into a golden torrent that blasted out. Facing such a powerful attack, Shang Chanwan did not dare to be careless. She kept playing the black zither in her hand. Chaotic music burst out like demons dancing. Guqin waves blasted towards the golden torrent. However, the golden torrent broke through the Guqin waves and blasted towards Shang Chanwan. Shang Chanwan was sent flying hundreds of meters away. Jin Yi raised his hand and a powerful dragon chi burst out again. It turned into a giant dragon claw and grabbed at Shang Chanwan. Oh no! Shang Chanwan's expression changed. Just as she was about to be killed, a melodious music suddenly sounded behind her and destroyed the giant dragon claw. This power! Zither Crown, you made a move. Dragon, you are at Jiu Shao Huanpei Manor. Not only did you not follow the rules, you even tried to hurt my disciple. That's too much. Zither Crown walked over slowly and said. I told you, this Jiu Shao Huanpei is mine. Behind him, a silhouette appeared and a powerful celestial aura swept across the area. Chapter 980. Behind Jin Yi, a golden-haired elder appeared. A powerful celestial aura swept across the area. At once, everyone's expression changed. Qin Guan's eyes dimmed. Looks like Divine Dragon Island came prepared. Jiu Shao Huanpei, we must get it. The golden-haired elder said. Let's see if Divine Dragon Island can take it from my hands. Qin Guan humphed. Jiu Shao Huanpei was her beloved item. She could find a new owner for it, but she wouldn't allow others to take it by force. The Dragon Immortal and the Celestial's aura clashed. The terrifying pressure sent the Zither Masters and Cultivators flying. Oh my, the Jiu Shao banquet has turned into an Immortal's battlefield. This is getting interesting. Qin Guan and the golden-haired elder disappeared and then clashed in the air, creating a loud explosion. A zither appeared in Qin Guan's hand. She plucked the strings with her fingers and music spread. The golden-haired dragon immortal grunted and waved her hands. Waves of terrifying dragon energy exploded and tore apart the music. The battle between immortals was extremely powerful. The pressure enveloped the area. On the other side, Jin Yi saw that Qin Guan was being held up. He looked at Jiu Shao Huanpei and continued to grab it. This time, no one could stop him. But at this moment, zither strings condensed in the air and stopped him. This is Qin Guan's restriction. Humph, immortals are indeed powerful, but you set it up in a hurry. How powerful can it be? It's useless. Jin Yi humphed. The dragon energy boiled and turned into a giant dragon claw. The immortal's restriction shook, but it did not break. Seeing this, Jin Yi's eyes narrowed. Oh, looks like I've underestimated you. Qin Guan, this is all you can do. He took out a golden long spear. The long spear glowed brightly. It was an immortal weapon. Break! Jin Yi stabbed with his spear. Under the immortal weapon's buff, this strike was extremely powerful and slowly broke the restriction left by Qin Guan. Qin Feng, let's attack together and stop this person. Shang Chanwan told Qin Feng. But when Qin Feng heard this, he hesitated and said, don't make any more useless efforts. We are no match for him. Anyway, this Jiu Shao Huan pendant is useless to us. Just give it to him. Hearing this, Shang Chanwan glared at him. Qin Feng, the Jiu Shao Huanpei is master's prized possession. Are you just going to watch it be taken away by someone else? How are you putting master's face like this? If you're not going to do it, I'll do it myself. Shang Chanwan attacked again. Seeing this, Jin Yi scoffed coldly. A surge of dragon energy shot out and sent the other party flying once more. You overestimate yourself. Qin Feng shook his head and said. Upon seeing this, a few of the manor's disciples could not help but frown. Although Shang Chanwan was no match for Jin Yi, she was still a member of the Jiu Shao Huanpei manor. As the eldest disciple of the manor, Not only did Qin Feng not help her, he even mocked her from the side. Was this really the eldest senior brother they knew? This was too disappointing. Bang, bang, the seals left behind by the zither crown were all broken. Finally got it. Just as Jin Yi was about to touch the Jiu Shao Huan Pei, the ancient celestial zithers suddenly vibrated, and then a clang, the zither strings moved and a grand sound wave suddenly exploded. Jin Yi was the first to be hit and was sent flying. This scene caused everyone to be stunned. Even the zither crown and the golden-haired dragon immortal who were fighting in the sky could not help but stop and looked at the Jiu Shao Huan Pei in shock. The celestial zither floated in the air, shining with celestial light. An overbearing celestial pressure spread out like waves. Jiu Shao Huan Pei, rang. Tian Yu zither master's expression changed. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change. The ancient zither that had not sounded for many years actually sounded. What's going on? Why did it ring? No one played it just now. Who can tell me what happened? Look, that person, at that moment, someone in the crowd exclaimed. A white-robed young man walked out from the crowd and slowly walked towards the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. This person was handsome and his body was surrounded by celestial light. Every move he made had an extraordinary aura. More importantly, there was a surge of Guqin Dao origin energy flowing around his body, and it was resonating with the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. At that moment, everyone knew. The Jiu Shao Huan Pei had sounded because of this person. It was as if this person was the zither master that the Jiu Shao Huan Pei had been waiting for many years. It's him. Yuan Su, Qin Feng, and the others were shocked to see Chu Kuangren. Some people in the crowd recognized him too. It's Chu Kuangren. I can't believe he's here at the Nine Heavens banquet. What a powerful and mysterious Guqin Dao origin energy. This person is proficient in Guqin Dao. Not only that, but he can also resonate with the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. The crowd was shocked. Zither Crown looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. Such Guqin Dao origin energy, it's the zither fairy from a few days ago. It's him. Shui Qinshin was a little confused too. Chu Kuangren had said that he knew a thing or two about the Guqin. She believed him, but who could tell her what was going on in front of her? What did he mean by knowing a thing or two? Step by step, Chu Kuangren walked towards the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. The intense Guqin Dao origin energy that emanated from his body spread throughout the entire manor. It was as if all the Guqin at the scene were being controlled by an invisible giant hand, and they automatically played Guqin music. 1,000,000 Guqin resonated. You want to get the Jiu Shao Huan Pei? In your dreams. Jin Yi snorted. He was determined to get the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. He raised his arm and channeled his dragon chi into the immortal weapon in his hand before he launched a spear attack at Chu Kuangren. However, the golden-haired dragon fairy's expression changed. No. However, it was too late. Chu Kuangren focused his sword finger and casually swiped it in the air. 10 surges of origin energy from his body were infused into it, and it turned into a purple sword ray. Wherever the sword ray passed, a purple lotus bloomed. Amidst the explosion, the golden dragon chi was instantly shattered. Jin Yi could not dodge in time and was instantly sliced in half by the sword ray. That sword attack completely shocked everyone at the scene. That Jin Yi was a dragon sage seed. His combat strength was comparable to a celestial seed king. Yet, he was casually killed just like that. What kind of strength was that? Killing a celestial seed king so casually. So the rumors about this person are true. Yuan Su gulped and said. At the side, Qin Feng was already frightened to the point of speechlessness. There was a sense of helplessness in his heart. He could not compete with Jin Yi in terms of strength, talent, and looks. Initially, he thought that if he could play the Jiu Shao Huan Pei, he might have a chance to compete with Jin Yi for the Snow Zither Heart. Now, the Jiu Shao Huan Pei was playing the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. He was utterly defeated. It was a complete and utter defeat. Chu Kuangren slowly walked to the front of the Jiu Shao Huan Pei. His fingers caressed the body of the guqin, causing the guqin to vibrate gently and melodious guqin music to reverberate. Was it you who created the resonance to lure me here? Chu Kuangren murmured. The Jiu Shao Huan Pei vibrated gently as if it was responding. Very well. If that's the case, from today onwards, I shall be your master. Chu Kuangren said. Chapter 981. From today onwards, I will be your master. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. In an instant, the sound of Jiu Shao Huan Pei's zither suddenly resounded through the clouds, and the celestial splendor was dazzling, causing countless zither masters to be extremely envious. Jiu Shao Huan Pei is taken. It's Chu Kuangren. I can't believe he has become the owner of Jiu Shao Huan Pei. In the distance, a surge of intense killing intent suddenly erupted and locked onto Chu Kuangren. It was the golden-haired dragon sage. Chu Kuangren's expression was as gloomy as water. After taking a glance at Jin Yi's corpse on the ground, he said coldly, Chu Kuangren, you've killed the godly Dragon Island's dragon son. You're courting death. With that, his figure turned into a ray of golden light and flew towards Chu Kuangren. Waves of dragon chi erupted and shook the surrounding void. Everyone exclaimed. No matter how strong Chu Kuangren was, he would still be helpless against an immortal, especially one from the dragon clan, right? Could it be that Chu Kuangren, who had just become the owner of the Jiu Shao Huan Pei, was going to fall so soon? This zither master's life was too short. Then I'll use you to test the power of this zither. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He pressed his 10 fingers on the strings. Due to the talent of the heart of the 7-string zither, he felt as if he had merged with Jiu Shao Huan Pei and entered an ethereal realm. Then, he moved his 10 fingers. In an instant, the majestic sound of the zither shook the 9 heavens. The golden-haired dragon immortal's expression changed, and he retreated again and again. However, Chu Kuangren did not stop there. His 10 fingers continued to move as he pushed the Emperor technique, the 8 celestial demonic chords, which he had learned in the past, to its limit. Although it was only an Emperor technique, with Chu Kuangren's current strength and the support of the 9 firmament ring pendant, its power was still extremely domineering. Even the golden-haired dragon immortal had a solemn look on her face. Not only that. In the instant that he resonated with Jiu Shao Huan Pei, he felt that his understanding of the Zither Tao was rising rapidly. The Emperor technique, 8 celestial demon chords, was also constantly improving, gradually transforming into an immortal technique. Spiritual chi surged between heaven and earth, and the sound of the Tao and the Zither reverberated. A seal of proof condensed. Chu Kuangren had once again created his own immortal technique. The 8 celestial demonic chords had transformed into immortals. Everyone was speechless. The might of the 8 celestial demonic chords and Jiu Shao Huan Pei, which had become a celestial technique, had increased by several levels. Terrifying zither waves enveloped heaven and earth, shaking the entire universe. This part of the world fell silent. Only Chu Kuangren's guqin music echoed in the air. The sun, moon, mountains, and rivers seemed to have lost their light at this moment. In the eyes of the crowd, there was only one person and one zither, stirring up the universe. 8 celestial and demonic chords, grand melody desolate. Chu Kuangren soon reached the highest realm of the 8 celestial demonic chords. He plucked the strings with his fingers and suddenly released them. The world was silent. The zither was also silent. However, the silence contained the ultimate truth of the Zither Tao, as well as the extremely terrifying and magnificent Zither Tao source power that could shatter stars. The Zither masters present were all stunned. Even Qin Guan's face was full of surprise. The soundless sound of the Zither exploded, blasting towards the golden-haired dragon immortal. The terrifying might caused the golden-haired dragon immortal's pupils to contract uncontrollably. Next, thick waves of immortal elemental energy erupted from his body. Golden Dragon Shield. The golden dragon chi intertwined and turned into a golden shield. However, when the zither music struck, the terrifying power shattered the golden dragon shield, causing the golden-haired dragon immortal to spit out blood. This is bad. Retreat. The golden-haired dragon immortal's expression changed. His figure turned into a stream of light and flew into the distance. He was forced to flee from Chu Kuangren's attack. Everyone was dumbfounded. After all, that was a dragon immortal. And a dragon immortal at that. However, such a powerful being was still no match for Chu Kuangren. He was still forced to flee. More importantly, Chu Kuangren had not become an immortal yet. He was still just a fairy seed. Oh my god, I heard that this person can defy the heavens and kill immortals. I thought it was just an exaggeration, but it seems like it's true. Oh my god, this person's strength is too terrifying. He can even defy the heavens and kill immortals. Even a fairy seed cultivated by an immortal ancient orthodoxy would not have such strength. Is this person really just an outsider? The crowd discussed among themselves. They looked at Chu Kuangren as if they were looking at a monster. Meanwhile, Xue Qinxin, Shang Chanwan, and the other girls looked at Chu Kuangren with sparkling eyes. They could not help but fall in love with him. He had an extraordinary temperament, was handsome, and was even more powerful. There were not many girls who would not be attracted to a fairy seed like him. Lan Yu, who was watching from the side, could not help but shake his head. Indeed, the master's charm was irresistible no matter where he went. Unfortunately, the master's heart was set on reaching a higher cultivation realm. He had never been interested in things like beauty. Otherwise, the Firmament Empire would have so many women willing to give themselves to him. With just a word, he could easily have a harem of 3,000 beauties. This 9 firmaments ring pendant is quite powerful. Chu Kuangren smiled as he looked at the 9 firmaments ring pendant in his hand. The grade of this guqin was even higher than the 3-headed 6-armed resentful Buddha. Not only that, but Chu Kuangren used the spirit of omniscience, Shao AI, to analyze the guqin and found that it was far more than just an ordinary immortal weapon. This guqin was one of the fragments of the ultimate origin treasure. That was what surprised Chu Kuangren the most. The ultimate origin treasure, as the name suggested, was a treasure that was born directly from the origin. It was much more advanced than ordinary immortal weapons. Even in the ancient and complete immortal realm, it was a rare treasure. Its value was no less than the complete Jade Lake immortal scripture. In fact, it was even more valuable. A fragment of the ultimate origin treasure. Interesting. I didn't expect to get such a reward. Chu Kuangren murmured. The value of the 9 firmaments ring pendant was much greater than he had imagined. What a great 8 celestial demonic cords. Qin Guan walked up and looked at Chu Kuangren with admiration in her eyes. The 9 firmaments ring pendant finally has an owner. She glanced at the 9 firmaments ring pendant. Her eyes were filled with reluctance, but she was also happy that the divine guqin had found an owner. Qin Guan, thank you for giving me this guqin. Chu Kuangren bowed slightly. All of this is because the 9 firmaments ring pendant chose you, and I'm just giving it to you. Qin Guan smiled. Then, Qin Guan dismissed the crowd. Honorable teacher, are you all right? At that moment, Qin Feng walked up and asked with concern. However, Qin Guan glanced at him with an indifferent gaze. From now on, you shall resign from your position as the elder senior brother. She was not blind. At the critical moment, she could clearly see who was the one who could be entrusted with the heavy responsibility and the future of Jiu Shaohuan Pei Manor. Upon hearing that, Qin Feng's face turned pale. He knew. He was done for. Forget about marrying Xue Qinxin, his position in the 9 firmaments ring pendant manor would also plummet. Yes. However, he did not dare to complain or disobey. Qin Guan was the master of the manor. Here, her words were the law and no one could defy it. Then, Qin Guan looked at Shang Chanwan and her expression softened. Don't run around outside anymore. Qinxin is still not mature enough. I need someone to take care of the manor for me. Shang Chanwan was stunned. You're not against my guqin anymore. I've never objected to your guqin. It's just that your guqin sword is unconventional. I'm afraid that you can't handle it, so I'm stricter with you. Now, it seems that you're doing well in your cultivation, so come back. Yes, honorable teacher. Shang Chanwan was extremely excited. Chapter 982. Inside the Nine Firmaments Huanpei Manor. Guqin Guan, Jinguan, Chu Kuangren, and the others were gathered together. They were talking about the Divine Dragon Island. This time, the dragon son of the Divine Dragon Island has died here. I don't think they will let this go easily. Brother Chu, you must be careful. Guqin Guan looked at Chu Kuangren and said. With Guqin Guan at the Nine Firmaments Huanpei Manor and the fact that the dragon's son did not die in Guqin Guan's hands, she was not afraid that the Divine Dragon Island would fight her to the death. However, Chu Kuangren would not be let off so easily. Sword Burial Ocean, Divine Flame Church, Sage Capital, Golden Hill Temple, and Wudong Mountain. These are enough to give me a headache, but now there's the Divine Dragon Island. Master, you're really good at stirring up trouble. Jianguan took a deep breath and said helplessly. Even at his peak, he would have a hard time dealing with these few forces. However, Chu Kuangren was just an immortal seed, and he was not even an immortal. He had almost offended all the immortal orthodoxies in the Qinglan immortal realm. Such behavior could only be described as insane. It's just killing a few immortal seeds. It's not a big deal. Chu Kuangren said calmly. He knew what he was doing. His current strength was comparable to an immortal. Together with Jianguan, unless these immortal orthodoxies joined forces and sent a few immortals to surround and kill him, he had nothing to fear with his current strength. Moreover, these immortal orthodoxies were fighting each other openly and secretly. If they wanted to join forces because of him and risk losing immortals to kill him without any common interests, that was basically impossible. Let's not talk about the other immortal orthodoxies for now. The only troublesome ones are the Divine Dragon Island and Wudong Mountain. No one knows how strong they are or how many immortals they have. The only ones who can go against them are the immortal ancient forces. The immortal ancient forces in the Qinglan immortal realm, Chu Kuangren pondered. By the way, why would the Divine Dragon Island have their eyes on the Nine Firmaments Huanpei? Jianguan suddenly changed the topic. They want to use the Nine Firmaments Huanpei as a betrothal gift. Jianguan Huanpei said. Betrothal gift? Yes, the young master of the Divine Dragon Island's Golden Dragon bloodline wants to marry a Phoenix lady from Wudong Mountain. I heard that the current Phoenix Lord of Wudong Mountain is quite knowledgeable in the Tao of the Zither and likes to collect the world's famous zither. Therefore, the Golden Dragon young master sent Jin Yi to retrieve the Jiu Shao Huanpei as a betrothal gift. Qin Guan said. Hearing this, Jian Guan frowned slightly. What's going on? Are the two divine beast clans going to unite by marriage? A marriage alliance between the divine beasts was no small matter. This would definitely cause a huge shock in the Qinglan immortal world, especially those demon clans. They would definitely not sit back and do nothing. Regarding the marriage, the two divine beast clans have not publicly expressed their opinions, but according to reliable sources, the opinions of the higher-ups of both sides are basically the same. Otherwise, Jin Yi would not have come to me to retrieve the Jiu Shao Huanpei Qin. No wonder you want to host the Feast of the Nine Heavens. You were forced to do so by the two mythological beast clans, Jianguan said mockingly. No matter how strong Jianguan Guan was, it was still not enough to face the two mythological beast clans. However, she did not want to hand over the Jiu Shao Huanpei Qin just like that, so she decided to host the Feast of the Nine Heavens. It's not entirely forced. Some time ago, when the Jiu Shao Huanpei Qin was acting strangely, I thought it was a Zither immortal who had attained her Taoist Tao, so I wanted to use this opportunity to befriend her. I didn't expect that Zither immortal to be Brother Chu. Jianguan Guan looked at Chu Kuangren and said. The few of them conversed for a while. Not long after, a sword ray suddenly flew in from outside the door. The sword ray then turned into a jade token and landed in Shui Qinxin's hand. Xue Qinxin was stunned when she saw the jade token. This is a notice from the academy. What? I'm going to participate in the assessment in half a year. Academy? The 100 Clan Academy? Chu Kuangren thought to himself. Yes. Miss Xue, are you still a student of the 100 Clan Academy? Yes, not only that. The academy has just informed me that I'll be participating in the assessment in half a year, Xue Qinxin said. The students of the 100 Clan Academy would hold an assessment every once in a while, and those who failed the assessment would be punished in various ways. The most severe cases could even result in expulsion from the academy. The 100 Clan Academy? Perhaps it's time for me to go there too. Chu Kuangren murmured. Going to the 100 Clan Academy was something that he had planned for a long time. The 100 Clan Academy was an immortal ancient orthodoxy that was on par with Mount Wudong and Dragon Island. Moreover, there were all sorts of ancient books and cultivation techniques in the academy. If he wanted to create his own origin, that knowledge might be helpful to him. Brother Chu, do you want to go to the 100 Clan Academy too? Xue Qinxin's eyes lit up when she heard Chu Kuangren's words. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. That's the thought. That's great. Let's go together. Xue Qinxin said with a hint of excitement. Beside her, Jianguan was deep in thought. The 100 Clan Academy is an immortal ancient orthodoxy. It's not any weaker than Mount Wutong or Dragon Island. If we can join it, the other immortal orthodoxies will have to think twice before making trouble for us. Obviously, he thought that Chu Kuangren wanted to go to the 100 Clan Academy to seek protection. Chu Kuangren did not explain much either. After staying at the 9 Firmament Huanpei Manor for a few days, Xue Qinxin packed her things and prepared to go to the 100 Clan Academy to participate in the assessment. Chu Kuangren and the others were accompanying them as well. Along the way, Xue Qinxin would occasionally tell Chu Kuangren about the 100 Clan Library to supplement his knowledge of the academy. Among them, the ones that were often mentioned were the 12 teachers of the 100 academies. These 12 teachers were the 12 most famous gold medal lecturers of the 100 academies. Their cultivation was high and their knowledge was profound. For example, Mr. 12 of the academy was an expert in archery. With a bow in hand, even immortals had to be wary. There was also Mr. 10th from the academy. He was an expert in alchemy, and it was said that he had the experience of refining immortal pills. Mr. 9th was good at runes, while Mr. 8th was good at formations. These 12 gentlemen each have their own strengths, and the world takes delight in talking about them. And above these 12 misters was the Dean of the 100 Clans Academy, one of the few people who stood at the peak of the Qinglan immortal realm. His cultivation level was even higher than 7 crowns. The 12 masters of the academy, and the dean. I'm really looking forward to it, Chu Kuangren muttered. On a warship. In the room. A strange surge of origin energy erupted from Chu Kuangren's body. That was the chaotic origin energy. His chaotic physique had finally been upgraded to an immortal physique. This time, he had learned his lesson and set up layers of restrictions around himself to isolate the immortal physique's fluctuations. With the help of this physique, he had successfully mastered the chaotic origin energy. Next target, the heavenly golden imperial physique. Chu Kuangren murmured. Since the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart and the chaotic physique had both successfully transformed, he had gradually become more adept at upgrading his physique. A month later, the heavenly golden imperial physique had been successfully upgraded. The heavenly golden origin energy had been mastered. Half a month later, the fallen darkness physique had been successfully upgraded. The darkness origin energy had been mastered. 10 days later, the infallible tormented physique had been successfully upgraded. The innate ferocious origin energy had been mastered. In the span of 3 months, Chu Kuangren had continuously upgraded 13 types of Taoist physiques and mastered 13 new types of origin energies. The Book of Physique is indeed extraordinary. Using the upgrade of my physique to master various origin energy is indeed the right choice. Even if I don't use any immortal weapons now, I can probably fight an immortal with just these origin energy alone. Chu Kuangren murmured. That was not all. Although he had not mastered all 3,000 Taoist physiques in the firmament star, he had analyzed nearly 100 of them. He could still continue to upgrade his physique and master the corresponding origin energy. Chapter 983. A warship was heading towards the 100 Academy. In the distance, a few figures were quickly chasing after the warship. These people were all wearing golden armor and cloaks, and there was a three-legged golden crow embroidered on their cloaks. They were the Honorable Demon Court's Golden Crow Guards. Is Chu Kuangren on that warship? Yes, if our intel is correct, Chu Kuangren is on it. The Honorable Demon Lord has ordered us to bring him back. This person is protected by Sword Crown, but we've already asked that person to help us. We cannot afford to fail this mission. The Golden Crow Guards communicated. Soon, the Golden Crow Guards arrived above the warship. They worked together to channel their demonic chi and blocked the warship in midair. Amidst the commotion, the warship shook. Xue Qinxin, Lan Yu, and Sword Crown all looked at the Golden Crow Guards. Sword Crown had a strange look in his eyes. Oh, the Golden Crow Guards. Are they here for the Green Phoenix? Sword Crown thought to himself. Sword Crown. Since you're here, it seems that Chu Kuangren is also on this warship. The Demon Lord has ordered for Brother Chu to go to the Demon Court. One of the Golden Crow Guards said. What if I refuse? An indifferent voice came from the warship. It was Chu Kuangren. Brother Chu, please don't make things difficult for us. The Golden Crow Guard frowned. Oh, from what you're saying, if I'm not willing, you're going to use force, right? That's what I was thinking. Ha, Sword Crown, send them away. Chu Kuangren chuckled. He had no intention of going to the Demon Court now. Perhaps he would go in the future, but not now. Sword Crown shook his head helplessly. All right, now that we've offended the Honorable Demon Court, the demon race has been thoroughly offended by Master. Dragon Island, Wudong Mountain, 2 divine beast tribes. The Honorable Demon Court was the largest organization of the demon race. Almost half of the demon race's experts were gathered there, enough to command 99% of the demon race. These three forces together were equivalent to the entire demon race in the Qinglan immortal realm, but now, they had all been offended by Chu Kuangren. This was no different from offending the entire demon race. He did not think too much about it. Since he had chosen to follow Chu Kuangren, he would not regret it. He could only walk this path to the end. Just as he was about to make his move, an incomparably powerful saber intent suddenly came from afar. The saber intent was so cold that Jingguan's eyes darkened. Then, he turned around and looked at the mountain peak in the distance. On the summit of the mountain, a middle-aged man stood proudly with a cold expression. A long saber with a white scabbard inlaid with precious jade hung from his waist. This person stood at the top of the mountain, and the wind and clouds around him seemed to be frozen by the peerlessly terrifying saber intent. Between heaven and earth, there seemed to be only one person and one saber left. Sword Crown's eyes were unprecedentedly serious. I didn't expect you to come. Dao Crown. Dao Guan, the master of the Sword Burial Sea, one of the 7 crowns. He was also the person who defeated Sword Crown back then. It could even be said that after defeating Sword Crown, Blade Crown seemed to be the leader of the 7 crowns. I heard that you made a comeback and even followed an immortal seed. At first, I only thought that it was a joke, but now it seems that you have truly fallen to such a level. Following an immortal seed, are you even worthy of being one of the 7 champions? Dao Guan said indifferently. The long saber at his waist buzzed, and a terrifying saber intent wreaked havoc in the void. Ha, if a despicable and shameless guy like you can be one of the 7 champions, why can't I? Sword Crown chuckled. He was smiling, but his eyes were exceptionally cold. The sword intent on his body spread and collided with the surging saber intent, causing the void to tremble. Everyone felt that the surrounding saber intent and sword intent seemed to have materialized and collided with each other, almost tearing the void apart. How terrifying, is this the strength of the peak swordsman? Fortunately, the demon lord had the foresight to ask us to invite Sword Crown. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything to Sword Crown. A few Golden Crow guards were speechless. Meanwhile, in the warship, Chu Kuangren had also sensed Sword Crown's presence. A battle between the sword and the saber. Ha, Sword Crown, go do what you have to do. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Thank you, Master. Sword Crown nodded slightly. His figure flashed and dashed towards Sword Crown's direction. Their swords and sabers had yet to collide, but the saber intent and sword intent had already caused the surrounding wind and clouds to surge. It was as if sword marks and saber marks had been cut into the air. With a loud bang, the huge mountain beneath Sword Crown's feet collapsed due to the terrifying battle between the saber intent and sword intent, causing billowing smoke and dust to rise. Looks like you've recovered. Is this the reason why you followed him? Sword Crown said. He was naturally referring to Chu Kuangren. However, Sword Crown did not answer him directly. Instead, his eyes revealed a look of nostalgia as he asked in a complicated tone, "Is she doing well?" "Very well. She's the mistress of the sword burial sea, second only to one and above all others, enjoying the glory of the world," Sword Crown said indifferently. "Ha, that's good." Sword Crown shook his head and smiled. Then, the sword intent on his body increased again. The green lotus immortal sword flew out from his body, and green lotuses bloomed one after another in the void. Sword Crown held the immortal sword in his hand, and his sword intent soared into the sky. "I lost that battle many years ago, but today, you and I shall fight again. I don't mind losing to you again." Sword Crown's eyes lit up. With a clang, the long saber at his waist was unsheathed. It was a saber that glowed with a green light, and its hilt looked like the mouth of a python. As the saber was unsheathed, the domineering sword intent became even more ferocious. One of the three famous sabers of the sword burial sea, the green python. "Ha, this saber is still as ferocious as ever." Sword Crown chuckled. As soon as he said that, both of them disappeared on the spot. The next moment, a thunderous explosion erupted between the heavens and the earth. The saber and the sword collided, and the immortal core chi formed from the saber and sword swept across the heavens and the earth. The clouds rumbled, but they were separated by the saber and sword chi, forming a huge crack that stretched for millions of miles. At that moment, it was as if the sky had split open. Gulp, Xue Qinxin was so shocked that she gulped. Her mother was also one of the 7 crowns, but she had never seen such destructive power in front of her. It was her first time witnessing such a terrifying battle. "Is this a battle between top-notch immortals?" Xue Qinxin murmured. The battle between Sword Crown and Sword Crown was, of course, spectacular. However, the Golden Crow guards were not there to watch the battle. Instead, they looked at the warship with a cold look in their eyes. "Brother Chu, don't blame us if you don't want to cooperate." A few Golden Crow guards immediately attacked. Even the weakest of these Golden Crow guards had the strength of a pseudo-immortal. With one attack, they broke through the warship's defensive chi barrier and charged towards Chu Kuangren. "How dare you all!" A cold snort was heard. A terrifying surge of Emperor's chi suddenly swept out from the room Chu Kuangren was in, blasting away the few Golden Crow guards who were charging towards him. Some of the weaker ones even exploded into a mist of blood on the spot. A creak was heard. The room's door opened. Chu Kuangren, dressed in a white robe, slowly walked out. With a lift of his arm, the terrifying Emperor's chi combined with the origin energy transformed into a giant golden hand that grabbed a few Golden Crow guards. With a slight squeeze, the Golden Crow guards died on the spot. Chapter 984. Chu Kuangren walked out of the room and killed the Golden Crow guards. Then, he looked into the void. There, he sensed a powerful aura. "These Golden Crow guards are no match for me. How long are you going to hide? Come out." Chu Kuangren stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently. As soon as he finished speaking, a golden figure walked out of the void. It was a middle-aged man with a medium build and golden hair. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. He was also a golden crow guard, but his aura was much stronger than the other golden crow guards. They were on a completely different level. He was a golden crow guard. In order to bring Chu Kuangren back, the Honorable Demon Court had not only asked the Saber Crown to help, but they had also sent out a golden crow beast. Such a lineup could not be said to be small. Brother Chu, the Demon Lord just wants to invite you over as a guest. Why are you so resistant? The golden-haired golden crow beast said. Invite me over. Ha, he's just pretending to be a guest. His real purpose is this green phoenix mirror. Chu Kuangren took out the green phoenix mirror and said. After seeing the green phoenix mirror, the golden-haired golden crow beast's expression changed slightly, and he immediately became alert. Obviously, he knew the power of this immortal weapon. Brother Chu, if you want to use the green phoenix mirror against me, I'm afraid you're making a big mistake. My strength is not something that Flaming Sun Immortal can compare to. He's only a lower tier, and I'm a middle tier. The golden-haired golden crow beast said. Although he was wary of the green phoenix mirror, he was not too afraid. In his opinion, Chu Kuangren was only an immortal seed, and the power that he could unleash was limited. Besides, he was not on the same level as Flaming Sun Immortal. A common immortal. The Flaming Sun Immortal was only a first-grade cultivator among the 3 lower grades, while Chu Kuangren was a 4th-grade cultivator among the 3 middle grades. Not to mention that Flaming Sun Immortal had lost an arm during his battle with Chu Kuangren, so he was not in his best condition. Ha, it doesn't matter what grade you are. The important thing is, do you dare to try? Chu Kuangren said as he played with the green phoenix mirror. The golden-haired golden crow beast looked at Chu Kuangren's confident look and could not help but hesitate. Did this person really have the strength to fight him? This person was only an immortal seed, but he had repeatedly done things that only an immortal seed could do. Perhaps this person really had a way to contend against him. Why did the Honorable Demon Court send such a coward? Chu Kuangren sneered. Then, he did something that surprised the golden-haired monster immortal and the others. He put away the Azure One mirror and said to the golden-haired immortal beast, I won't use the Azure One mirror. Do you dare to attack me now? Seeing his actions, everyone was dumbfounded. In the distance, Dao Guan had also noticed what was happening on the battleship, and he could not help but sneer. This Chu Kuangren is really arrogant to think that he can defeat an immortal without using his immortal weapon. The young master's ability is not something you can predict. Jian Guan said lightly. Although he was also very surprised by Chu Kuangren's actions, he had seen too many unbelievable things about Chu Kuangren. He chose to trust the other party. On the warship, the golden-haired demon immortal's face was as gloomy as water. He felt that he was being looked down upon. No, he was being looked down upon. He was being looked down upon by an immortal seed. He, a dignified middle grade 3 demon immortal, was dealing with a celestial seed, but not only was the celestial seed not afraid, it was also constantly provoking him. This made him extremely furious. Without any hesitation, he instantly attacked. With a move of his body, he charged towards Chu Kuangren and gathered a large amount of immortal core energy in his hand before he unleashed a palm attack. Seeing that, Chu Kuangren smiled faintly and did not retreat. He focused his sword fingers and sword chi flowed on his fingertips. Dozens of origin energies within his body erupted at the same time to strengthen the sword chi. He chose to fight his opponent head-on. There was a loud bang. When the two forces collided, both of them were pushed back. The golden-haired demon immortal's eyes widened in disbelief. With your strength, how is this possible? A person who had yet to become an immortal was able to fight against a middle grade 3 immortal like him. Moreover, he did not use any external power but purely relied on his own strength to fight against an immortal. So much origin energies. What's going on with this person? How did he do it? A series of questions emerged in the golden-haired demon immortal's mind. In the distance, Jian Guan and Dao Guan could not help but be shocked. Master has so much origin energies on him. Did he go into closed-door meditation for 3 months just for this origin energies? How does the young master cultivate? Jian Guan was shocked. He was even more determined to follow Chu Kuangren. Dao Guan was also shocked. This person can really go against the heavens and kill immortals. It's not an injustice that my son lost to him. His son was the Saber King who was defeated by Chu Kuangren. He was also a ruler of celestial seeds. However, he was nothing compared to Chu Kuangren. With my current strength, I can indeed fight against an immortal. Chu Kuangren sensed his own strength and smiled in satisfaction. His figure quickly changed as he activated the ethereal illusion body. It was an immortal technique that he created himself. Following that, the Thousand Lotus Sword Intent, Sword Chi Heaven Weave, Moonlight Illuminates the River, Endless Wrath, and many other immortal techniques were unleashed one after another towards the golden-haired demon immortal. He had now treated the golden-haired demon immortal as his test subject. D*MN, Chu Kuangren's strength has far exceeded my expectations. If this goes on, I won't be able to subdue him. I'm afraid I'll be severely injured as well. Let's leave this place first. The golden-haired demon immortal thought to himself. He let out a long roar and transformed into his true form. It was a gigantic golden condor. The golden condor flapped its wings and its figure flashed. Its speed was so fast that it looked like a golden lightning bolt as it flew into the distance. Chu Kuangren sneered when he saw that. He then took out the purple divine bow and cast the Li family's forbidden technique, forming a blood-colored arrow. Swoosh, the blood-colored arrow pierced through the air. The arrow turned into an azure dragon and instantly caught up to the golden condor. It smashed into the golden condor's back and smashed it down from the sky. Chu Kuangren cast the space conveyor technique. In the next instant, he appeared in front of the golden-haired demon immortal. The descendant self-sword on his waist was unsheathed and its origin energy erupted. The technique testimony seal was also added onto the immortal technique, and the Thousand Lotus Sword Intent instantly erupted. A purple sword ray bloomed and a bloody mist gushed out. The golden-haired demon immortal's body was instantly sliced in half. Chu Kuangren had once again defied the heavens and killed an immortal. The remaining Golden Crow guards' expressions changed drastically. They wanted to escape, but Lan Yu was already in front of them. The power of the radiant combat immortal physique was unleashed. Lan Yu waved the scepter in her hand and imbued it with the light combat origin energy. It was an exquisite battle technique that belonged to the celestial realm's winged human tribe. The Golden Crow guards were not weak, but unfortunately, they had long been scared out of their wits by Chu Kuangren. All they wanted to do was to escape. Although they were not weaker than Lan Yu, they could not unleash their full potential. Boom, boom, boom. Not long after, the remaining Golden Crow guards were all killed. In the distance, Sword Crown's pupils shrank when he saw the Golden Crow guards fall. What a heaven-defying peerless celestial seed. He waved the long saber in his hand, and the domineering saber ray instantly forced Sword Crown to retreat. Then, he did not stay any longer and retreated. Chapter 985. Dao Guan's strength far surpassed the beast immortal that Chu Kuangren killed. If he wanted to leave, Jian Guan would not be able to stop him even if he wanted to. Jian Guan looked in the direction that Dao Guan left and pondered. His strength is much stronger than before. In a flash, he returned to the warship. Chu Kuangren glanced at him and said, "You're injured." "It's just a small injury." Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated the Spring Breeze healing technique. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth mixed with the origin energy surged towards Jingguan. This emperor technique had been upgraded to an immortal technique by him, so it was quite effective even for immortals. Jingguan's injury recovered very quickly. "Thank you, Master." "What happened during your battle with Dao Guan back then?" Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. Jian Guan looked a little nostalgic when he heard that. "It's all in the past. Back then, Dao Guan and I agreed to battle. Many years ago, the fame of the 7 crowns resounded throughout the Qinglan immortal world. No one could compare to them. Moreover, Dao Crown was fighting for the position of the 7 crowns. He wanted to prove that he had defeated all the swordsmen in the world. At that time, Jianguan was in high spirits and naturally agreed. However, during the time of the challenge, Jianguan met a woman. It was said that even heroes have a weakness for a beautiful woman, and it was the same for Jianguan. As he spent time with this woman, he couldn't help but gradually fall in love with her. He traveled all over the world with her and spent the happiest time of his life. From then on, Jianguan only had one more thing in his life. Later on, Jianguan went to the battle, only to find out that the woman he loved was Dao Guan's fiancée. Did this cause Jianguan to lose his mind? In the end, he lost to Dao Guan and became a useless person. Lingering in the tavern. Whoa, this Dao Guan is quite good at playing. He actually sent his fiancée to seduce you and then disturb your mind during the duel. Is he trying to find a hat to wear for himself? This is the first time I've heard of this. Chu Kuangren said in surprise. Do you hate that woman? Next to her? Xue Qinxin asked curiously. At first, I hated her, but then I got over it. Her family was attached to the sword burial ocean, so she had no choice. What a pitiful person. Jianguan shook his head and smiled. You're quite broad-minded. Chu Kuangren teased and did not probe further. The group continued to advance towards the 100 Clan Academy. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren went back to his closed-door meditation. Upgrading his Taoist physique. In order to grasp more origin energy, he wanted to grasp more. The current him. Watch the surroundings. Almost all of them were enemies. A sword crown was no longer enough to ensure his safety. What he needed was more power. Another 2 months passed. Had Chu Kuangren and the others finally arrived at the 100 Academy? This academy is located in the mountains. Is the academy very large? It encompassed a radius of 1,000,000 miles. But in the academy? A chain of peaks. The immortal waterfall poured down in torrents, and rare beasts galloped across the land. Soaring across the horizon, there were even floating islands, immortal splendor shining brightly. It was like an immortal paradise. Besides that, Chu Kuangren also sensed a different aura in this academy. There were demons, humans, and outsiders. These auras were mixed together, actually coexisting here. Rumor has it that the academy educates everyone without discrimination. It seems that it is indeed so. Chu Kuangren murmured. A friend has come from afar. Friend, I wonder if you could come to the Tianyi Pavilion for a chat. A voice came from afar. It was the academy's higher-ups who wanted to meet Chu Kuangren. He was not surprised. He was now quite famous in the Qinglan immortal world. He had offended many major forces, and he had Jianguan by his side. These people would not just sit back and watch him visit the 100 Clan Academy. Miss Xue, I'll go meet the other masters first. Chu Kuangren said. The next moment, both he and Jianguan disappeared from where they stood. The Tianyi Pavilion. The 100 Clan Academy's meeting place for guests. Today, more than half of the 12 masters of the 100 Clan Academy were gathered here. Even Mr. First was there. It could be said that apart from the schoolmaster, almost all the higher-ups of the 100 Clan Academy were here, and they were here to meet one person. Not long after. Outside the Tianyi Pavilion, a white-robed young man walked in with an old man. The masters in the Tianyi Pavilion were stunned as they looked at the white-robed young man who was slowly walking towards them. This is Chu Kuangren, who has recently risen to fame. He doesn't have the aura of the lightning tribulation. He has yet to step onto the path of immortalhood. But, how did he manage to defy the heavens and kill immortals? This is strange. What a chaotic aura. I can't tell what Tao he's cultivating or what origin it is. The more they looked at the young man, the more surprised they became. Chu Kuangren entered the Tianyi Pavilion with Jianguan and saw the masters in front of him. There were men and women, young and old, even the weakest among them was a top-notch half-immortal. The two in the middle were even immortals. Moreover, they were not ordinary immortals. They were top-tier immortals. They were on the same level as the 7 crowns. Chu Kuangren activated his spirit of omniscience. After some analysis, he was able to understand most of the masters in front of him. My name is Chu Kuangren. Nice to meet you all. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. There's no need to be so courteous, Brother Chu. May I know what brings you to the 100 Academy? An elegant middle-aged man smiled. He was dressed in a green robe and had a long and steady aura. He was the Academy's Mr. First. Chu Kuangren did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. I've heard that the Academy has an ocean of books that contains hundreds of ancient books. I'd like to enter and take a look. All disciples of the Academy are allowed to enter the ocean of books. Brother Chu, your request isn't too difficult. Mr. First smiled. What's your condition? Chu Kuangren asked. Since Mr. First agreed so readily, he did not think that Mr. First did not have any ulterior motives. Mr. First smiled. Brother Chu, since you're a straightforward man, I'll cut to the chase. Jianguan's swordsmanship is outstanding, while Brother Chu's medical skills are unparalleled. Both of them are talented, so I'd like to have both of you teach in the Academy. Oh, how do you know that my medical skills are unparalleled? Isn't it because Brother Chu cured Jianguan that he chose to follow you? Mr. First asked with a smile. It was not difficult for them to find out about this. Being a teacher is a new and interesting experience. Alright, but I'll say this first. There are so many disciples in the Academy, so I can't possibly teach all of them. You can decide who to teach, and I'll decide how to teach them. Chu Kuangren said. Alright, we'll do as you say, Brother Chu. After a short conversation, Chu Kuangren stayed in the Academy for the time being. Not long after, the news of 2 new teachers in the Academy spread like wildfire. Jianguan and Chu Kuangren. These 2 names caused a huge stir in the Academy. Jianguan is coming to the Academy to teach. Oh my God, this is the might of the Academy. Even the famous Jianguan is here. He's a person who stands at the peak of swordsmanship. If we can get his guidance, we'll definitely benefit a lot. Wait a minute, Chu Kuangren. Isn't that the peerless celestial seed that defied the heavens? He's coming to the Academy to teach as well. Tisk tsk, both of them are incredible figures. The Academy is going to be lively. Chapter 986. The Academy had arranged accommodations for Chu Kuangren, Jianguan, and the others. As for the matter of teaching, there was no clear statement yet. Jianguan didn't really care about teaching. Giving pointers to a group of juniors was a piece of cake for him. The next day, Chu Kuangren arrived at the 100 Academy's Sea of Books. The Sea of Books was actually the library of the 100 Academies. However, it was named the Sea of Books, which showed how rich the collection of books there was. The person guarding the library was a delicate and pretty woman. He was Mr. Fourth of the Academy. She was sitting at the entrance of the Sea of Books, reading an ancient book in her hand. When she saw Chu Kuangren, she nodded slightly. Chu Kuangren returned the gesture. He glanced at the book in Mr. Fourth's hand. It was a medical book. Could it be that Mr. Fourth was an expert in medicine? Mr. of the Academy, everyone has their own strengths. I specialize in medical skills, and I've seen the injury of the sword crown before, but I was helpless. If Brother Chu can cure it, I'd like to learn from you if there's a chance. Mr. Fourth smiled faintly. Alright. Chu Kuangren did not reject either. He walked into the ocean of books and looked at the endless collection of books before him. He couldn't help but sigh in admiration. He had heard that the ocean of books of the Academy had a specialized page boy who searched for new books all over the celestial realm, constantly expanding the size of the ocean of books. Therefore, the number of books in the Sea of Books was constantly increasing. Even for immortals, it was not easy to think about it, let alone comprehend it thoroughly. This was something that even immortals could not do. Chu Kuangren activated his mind power and the names of all the books in the book ocean appeared in his mind. Formation, Alchemy Tao. Runes. Strange News. Geography, Astronomy, Physiognomy, Medical Books, Chimenduanjia, Cultivation Books. It could be said that it encompassed all paths, including hundreds of schools of thought. This sea of books? This was a treasure trove of knowledge that ordinary cultivators would find hard to take. A strange look appeared in Chu Kuangren's eyes. He continued to use his psyche power to sense for a while, but not long after. He could not help but frown. He came here to find a way to create his own source. However, although there were countless books in this sea of books, there was no knowledge in this area. Come to think of it, creating his own origin source? This kind of thing was unheard of in the immortal world. How could there be records of it in the ancient books? He shook his head. Such a thing. It was already within his expectations. Then let me be the pioneer. He did not feel discouraged. Creating an origin? Do you really need a lot of theoretical knowledge to support it? The knowledge in the sea of books? They could become his resources. I can't. Wouldn't it be a wasted trip? He took out an ancient book and began to read. His reading speed was very fast. With a thought, the countless words recorded in the book automatically appeared in his mind. But this was only reading words. If Chu Kuangren wanted to thoroughly understand it, it would depend on his level of comprehension. Coincidentally, Chu Kuangren's greatest strength was his comprehension. The three souls of heaven, earth, and man came out at the same time. The speed at which he comprehended the ancient books was shockingly fast. Within a day, he had finished reading over 100 ancient books. Furthermore, he didn't just memorize them, but completely understood them. Not far away, Mr. Forth frowned slightly. Naturally, she had noticed Chu Kuangren's actions. Could he really learn anything by reading books like that? Or was he looking for something? Mr. Forth didn't understand, but he didn't ask further. Very soon. 10 days had passed. Chu Kuangren had read more than 1,000 ancient books in these 10 days, which involved all kinds of theoretical knowledge. Alchemy, talismans, formations, weapons, swords, and so on. He had learned a lot of things, so these were of some use to him. Unknowingly, he was immersed in the sea of books, absorbing knowledge like a sponge. Gradually, a strange brilliance appeared on his body. That brilliance was mysterious and extraordinary, as if it contained countless runes. Mr. Forth's pupils shrank slightly when she saw that. Such a divergence path. It's like having a scholarly temperament. Only a knowledgeable cultivator can produce this divergence path, and Brother Chu has it too. Possessing a scholarly temperament was like having a scholarly temperament. A knowledgeable cultivator would have a different temperament. A knowledgeable person would have an obvious temperament. They could even condense a divergence path. That was why Chu Kuangren had a scholarly temperament. Since ancient times, only a few people have had this divergence path. Among Mr. 12, only Mr. First has it. I can't believe Chu Kuangren managed to learn such a divergence path in just 10 days in the sea of books. Is he a natural scholar? Mr. Forth said with a hint of doubt. She then informed the rest of the students. Not long after, Mr. First, Mr. Second, and the others gathered in the sea of books. They could not help but exclaim when they saw Chu Kuangren's body emitting a strange brilliance. It's really like having a scholarly temperament. This person is a natural scholar. The books he reads are all turned into his foundation. It's extraordinary. This person has made the right choice to come to the 100 Academy. Don't disturb him. The students were extremely surprised, but they did not go up to disturb him. As time passed, the more books Chu Kuangren read, the more the qi on his body grew. A month later, the brilliance on Chu Kuangren's body gradually faded, and he slowly opened his eyes. Not bad. There were too many books in the sea of books, and he had not finished reading them. In fact, He might not even have read 1% of them, but he had already benefited a lot. After reading for a month, it was extremely taxing on his mind, so he decided to go back and rest for a few days before coming back again. When he left the sea of books, he noticed that Mr. Forth was looking at him strangely. He could not help but be curious. "Mr. Forth, is something the matter?" "Nothing." Mr. Forth shook her head. She could not see through this young man who was just an immortal seed. He had obviously cultivated the divergence path that every scholar dreamed of, yet he did not seem to care. It was as if nothing had happened. "Then I shall take my leave." Chu Kuang-ren nodded slightly and turned to leave. Looking at his departing figure, Mr. Forth's gaze was somewhat complicated as he said, perhaps it's because of his indifferent nature that he was able to comprehend this strange path of having the scholarly spirit in his heart. Most scholars in this world did not really like to study. Most of them studied for fame and fortune. Mortals studied hard for 10 years just to become famous in one day. Cultivators studied for 100 years and spent 1,000 years to understand and understand, all for the sake of researching more powerful cultivation techniques. Even she had stayed in the sea of books for thousands of years just to improve her cultivation and medical skills. There were very few people who were truly indifferent to material gain and study. So it's natural to have a scholarly temperament. I didn't expect to gain such a harvest from this trip to the sea of books. What a pleasant surprise. After Chu Kuang-ren returned to his residence, he could not help but smile in satisfaction when he noticed the divergence path that he had learned. This divergence path could help him study better. According to his guess, the reason he learned this divergence path was because his comprehension was too strong. He had absorbed too much knowledge in a short period of time, which led to the evolution of this divergence path. I have to go back to the sea of books. I wonder what level this divergence path will evolve to after I thoroughly understand all the books in the sea of books. Chu Kuang-ren thought curiously. Chapter 987. Congratulations, host, for obtaining the Godly Tier Prize, Soul Refining Liquid. Chu Kuang-ren drew his prize early in the morning. His eyes lit up when he saw the prize. The Soul Refining Liquid was an immortal-grade treasure. It was a rare treasure that could be used to enhance one's soul energy. Even immortals would flock to this treasure like a flock of ducks. If I can refine this soul refining liquid, my 9 transformations 3 elemental soul refinement technique can be upgraded to the 6th or even the 7th transformation. When that happens, my soul energy will increase tremendously. My power of understanding, mind power, and senses will also increase. This treasure is even more valuable than the Dharma lotus. Chu Kuang-ren was overjoyed. He took out the soul refining liquid and swallowed it. Activating the universal cauldron physique, he quickly refined it. His 3 souls, heaven, earth, and human, also began to absorb it. The 9 transformations 3 elemental soul refinement technique was activated. While Chu Kuang-ren was refining the soul refining liquid, Jianguan had already begun to teach the academy's disciples. Jianguan's guidance was something that countless immortal seeds wished for. In an instant, Jianguan's residence was bustling with people. He even set up a restriction for that. Only those who broke through the restriction were worthy of his guidance. On the other side, Xue Qinxin's assessment was approaching, but she was troubled. Why is this 7 celestial roaming dragon sword art so difficult to cultivate? Xue Qinxin frowned as she held her sword. Next to her was another woman. This woman had a gentle and virtuous air about her, but when she looked at the rabbit in front of her, she felt helpless. The rabbit's eyes were gray, but it was blind. Sigh, the 4 Sirs assessment is a little difficult. How can it be easy to cure this dark poison? Xue Qinxin and the woman were both worried about the assessment. Oh right, Qinxin, didn't Jianguan come to our academy? Why don't you ask him for guidance on your sword techniques? The gentle woman said. I did, but Jianguan said that it's impossible for me to cultivate the 7 celestial roaming dragon sword art to the 3rd stage before the assessment. I can only blame myself for slacking off. Xue Qinxin shook her head. It's the same for me. Back then, when I returned home, I forgot to bring the darkness poison back to study it. Now that I've come back to study it, I've discovered that it won't be that easy to cure this poison," the gentle-looking woman said. The two of them looked at each other and sighed. She looked like she was in a difficult situation. "The two of us won't be last this time, right?" "No way." Shui Qinxin twitched her lips. Suddenly, she thought of something and said, "Let's go find Brother Chu." "Fellow cultivator Chu. Are you talking about Chu Kuangren?" "Yes, fellow Taoist Chu definitely has a way to help us." The gentle woman's eyes also lit up. "I heard that this person cured the sword crown. Perhaps, he has a way to help me detoxify this dark poison." She picked up the rabbit and ran towards Chu Kuangren's direction with Shui Qinxin. When they arrived at Chu Kuangren's residence, they saw the little fox sitting under a tree eating a spiritual fruit while Lan Yu was cultivating her winged human combat technique. As for Chu Kuangren, he was nowhere to be seen. "Lan Yu, where's Brother Chu?" Shui Qinxin was quite familiar with Lan Yu, so she asked directly. "The young master is in seclusion." "Seclusion again?" Shui Qinxin was a little disappointed. After that, the two women did not leave but stayed at Chu Kuangren's residence for a few days to prepare for the upcoming assessment. Not long after, two more guests arrived at Chu Kuangren's residence. It was the celestial seed rulers, Gu Lufang and Gu Wuqing. When the gentle woman beside Shui Qinxin saw them, she suddenly became excited. "Qinxin, it's senior brother Gu. So what if he's here? What's there to be excited about?" Shui Qinxin pouted. "That's senior brother Gu we're talking about. He's ranked number 1 in the academy and one of the rulers of the younger generation," the gentle woman said. In the 100 Academy, Gu Lufang was definitely a legendary existence. Many young students saw him as their idol. A celestial seed ruler. He's indeed powerful. Shui Qinxin nodded. If it was in the past, she might have been amazed. However, after meeting Chu Kuangren, she felt that the so-called celestial seed ruler was nothing special. Even a celestial seed ruler was far inferior to Chu Kuangren. They were not on the same level at all. Besides senior brother Gu, the man beside him is called Gu Wuqing. He's an outsider, but I heard that he's also a celestial seed ruler. The gentle woman was still introducing them to Shui Qinxin. Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufang had also come to visit Chu Kuangren. When they found out that Chu Kuangren was in closed-door meditation, they could not help but feel a little disappointed. "Master, you're still in closed-door meditation?" At that moment, a sword ray flew towards them. It was Jingguan. Lan Yu nodded slightly. "Yes." "Greetings, Senior Jingguan." Gu Wuqing and the others quickly bowed. "You're welcome." Seeing that Jingguan had arrived, Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufang, who were planning to leave, decided to stay and ask for his guidance. Jingguan did not hold back either. After a round of guidance, the two of them learned a lot. "Thank you, Jingguan, for your guidance." The two of them sincerely expressed their gratitude. Buzz, at that moment, there was a ripple in the void. A vast and boundless fluctuation of mind power spread out. After sensing this fluctuation, the expressions of Jian Guan and the others changed drastically. This mind power is immortal consciousness. Immortal consciousness was the mind power that only immortals possessed. It was not uncommon for immortal consciousness to appear in the 100 Academy. After all, as an immortal ancient orthodoxy, how could they not have a few immortals? However, the problem was, it was a new wave of immortal consciousness. It was something that had never appeared in the 100 Academy before. This meant that there was a new immortal in the 100 Academy. Moreover, this wave of immortal consciousness is coming from Master's room. Jingguan could not hide the shock in his eyes. This wave of immortal consciousness is coming from Master. He had seen Chu Kuangren's mind power before, and it was exactly the same as this immortal consciousness. However, this immortal consciousness was much stronger. Master has mastered immortal consciousness. How is that possible? After all, Chu Kuangren had not even gone through the 3 disasters and 9 tribulations. How could he suddenly master immortal consciousness? Jianguan felt that ever since he started following Chu Kuangren, his worldview was constantly being refreshed. Chu Kuangren's cultivation did not follow common sense at all. There was no telling what he would do in the next moment. The huge wave of immortal consciousness spread out, and some of the weaker cultivators could not withstand it and fell to the ground. Even Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufang, who were fairy seed rulers, could not withstand the immortal consciousness and almost fell to the ground. This immortal consciousness is not something an ordinary immortal can unleash. At least it's not much weaker than mine. Jianguan murmured. His sword intent circulated and helped Lan Yu, the little fox, and the others to withstand the vast immortal consciousness. In the academy, the masters also felt the power of the immortal consciousness and immediately flew towards Chu Kuangren's residence. The masters joined forces and set up layers of restrictions to seal the huge immortal consciousness so that it would not leak out. The 100 Academy's students felt much better after that, but the powerful immortal consciousness still gave them a lingering fear. For a moment, everyone was guessing which top-notch half-immortal in the Academy had ascended to immortality. Chapter 988. Brother Chu, have you become an immortal? Mr. First asked as soon as he arrived. Master, you haven't even overcome the 3 disasters and 9 tribulations. How did you become an immortal? Then what's going on? How am I supposed to know? Jianguan said angrily. Not long after, Chu Kuangren's door opened and he walked out in a white robe. He could not help but chuckle when he saw Mr. First, Jianguan, and the others. Ha, it's my honor to have so many people here to welcome me. Mr. First's mouth twitched. Don't you have any idea what kind of commotion you've caused? Master, have you mastered the immortal consciousness? Jianguan asked curiously. Chu Kuangren nodded and did not hide the truth. Yes. Everyone gasped when they heard that. It was their first time hearing about someone who had mastered the immortal consciousness before becoming an immortal. Brother Chu, you really are capable of the impossible. Mr. First looked at Chu Kuangren strangely. They did not ask further. It was a personal cultivation secret. Even if they asked, Chu Kuangren would not tell them. After chatting for a while, the few masters left. Deep within the academy, a white-haired elder opened his eyes and looked in Chu Kuangren's direction. He murmured, "What an anomaly. I wonder what kind of changes this person will bring to the upcoming heavenly fate struggle." The heavenly fate struggle was the biggest variable in the history of the Qinglan immortal realm. However, there was another anomaly besides this variable. No one knew what this divergent would do or what kind of ending this variable would lead to. Inside Chu Kuangren's residence, Chu Kuangren sensed the immortal consciousness within his body. He was quite satisfied with his closed-door meditation. The soul condensation liquid's effect was so powerful that it directly elevated his 9 transformations' 3-elemental soul refinement technique to the 7th transformation. This 7th transformation allowed him to master the source of the soul, allowing him to form an immortal soul and master the immortal consciousness before becoming an immortal. Such an opportunity of fortune was extremely rare. So, you're here for the test. Chu Kuangren looked at Xue Qinxin and the other 2 ladies. The 2 ladies nodded. The gentle lady looked at Chu Kuangren and could not help but marvel. How could there be such a good-looking person in this world? She finally understood why Xue Qinxin couldn't forget this person. Not only that, but he had grasped immortal consciousness as a celestial seed, and he had even defied the heavens to kill immortals. This kind of talent far surpassed that of a celestial seed king. Even Gu Lufang was far inferior to him. Come, show me your sword technique. Chu Kuangren said to Xue Qinxin. All right. Xue Qinxin used her sword art. The sword she interweaved and formed a faint dragon shadow. Throughout the entire process, Chu Kuangren had been using the spirit of omniscience to analyze his opponent's techniques and weaknesses. When you make the second move, lower your arm by 3 inches. Also, the monarch chi in my body is circulating too quickly. His steps are getting bigger. Chu Kuangren casually pointed out his opponent's flaws and corrected them one by one before saying, "Do as I say and perform it again." Xue Qinxin did as told. This time, the power of her sword art had increased by more than a level. This caused Jian Guan and the others' expressions to slightly change. Just a few words of advice could increase the power of the sword technique? What ability was this? If you practice a few more times, you should be able to reach the 3rd level before the assessment, Chu Kuangren said. Then, he looked at the gentle lady and the rabbit in her arms and activated the spirit of omniscience to analyze the poison in the rabbit's body. It's not difficult to detoxify the poison, but this is your assessment, so I can't tell you the answer directly. However, I can give you a few pointers, Chu Kuangren said. The gentle lady had an extraordinary level of understanding. Under Chu Kuangren's pointers, she soon found the answer and detoxified the poison. The two ladies looked at Chu Kuangren with stars in their eyes. At that moment, they were filled with admiration for Chu Kuangren. The problem that had troubled them for many days was solved with just a few words from Chu Kuangren. It was just too amazing. Jian Guan, Gu Lufang, and the others looked at Chu Kuangren in awe. They had discovered yet another terrifying talent of Chu Kuangren's. A master teacher. In this world, there was no shortage of powerful cultivators or geniuses. However, these geniuses and strong cultivators would always encounter countless problems during their growth. Sometimes, they would even have to figure it out on their own. If they had a master teacher to guide them at this time, they would definitely be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. They would be able to avoid many detours and lay a solid foundation in the early stages. Besides resources and cultivator talents, the guidance of a master teacher was also a major factor for the major forces to cultivate geniuses. However, no matter how powerful a master teacher was, it was not as exaggerated as Chu Kuangren. It was as if he could instantly see through a cultivator's problems and find the solution to the problem. Such an ability was too terrifying. Brother Chu, there are some things that I don't understand here. Can you give me some pointers? Gu Lufang suddenly said. He had cast an immortal technique, but he was not very familiar with it. Chu Kuangren used the spirit of omniscience to analyze it and gave a few pointers. Gu Lufang immediately learned a lot. Initially, with his qualifications, it would not take him too long to solve this problem, but it would not be solved so quickly either. Now, he was finally sure. Chu Kuangren was a master teacher. A master teacher who far surpassed all the teachers in the 100 academies. This matter cannot be ignored. I must tell the others. Gu Lufang thought to himself. He can solve people's problems with just a few words. Does such a master teacher really exist in this world? Mr. First was a little surprised. The other teachers looked at each other. What Lufang said is true. Gu Lufang said. If Brother Chu really has such an ability, then I'm afraid we'll have to pay more attention to him. How about we get some students to test him? Mr. Fourth suggested. Yes, that's fine. Mr. First nodded. Soon, students came to Chu Kuangren's residence one after another. Each of them had questions that they wanted Chu Kuangren to solve. Chu Kuangren naturally knew that this was the Academy's way of testing him. He did not hide it from them. Since they had opened up the sea of books, he did not mind doing something for the Academy. Teaching was something that he had promised. In just a few days, Chu Kuangren had taught dozens of elite students in the Academy and solved many of their questions. It was not just limited to medical skills and cultivation. It even included auxiliary cultivation methods such as talismans, formations, and pills. All of a sudden, all the students who came to Chu Kuangren to solve their problems learned a lot, and their respect for Chu Kuangren grew. A master teacher had come to the Academy. News of this matter spread like wildfire. Many students wanted to ask Chu Kuangren to help them solve their problems. Even the teachers of the Academy could not help but be shocked. Initially, they only wanted to get a few students to test Chu Kuangren. However, they did not expect it to cause such a huge commotion. Chu Kuangren's abilities were far beyond their imagination. Runes, formations, pills, swordsmanship, medical skills. This person is proficient in all of them. What an all-rounder. The teachers and teachers of the academy were shocked. Chapter 989. Have you heard? There's a new master teacher in our academy. I heard that he can enlighten people with just a few words. F*ck me, are you serious? Don't lie to me. Why would I lie to you? Do you know Shui Qinshin? Of course I do. She's one of the goddesses of our academy, the daughter of Qin Guan. Who doesn't know her? I heard that Shui Qinshin couldn't pass the assessment this time, but because of his guidance, she got an A+ grade. She's one of the top students in the assessment, and that master teacher only gave her a few words of guidance. Who is that? The immortal slaying Chu Kuangren. Hiss, discussions like this quickly spread throughout the 100 Academy. Chu Kuangren was already famous enough. After all, no one in the entire Qinglan immortal world had done something like that except for him. Now that he had a master teacher as a gimmick, the entire academy was extremely curious about this person. Whether they believed him or not, they all wanted to see him for themselves. Outside Chu Kuangren's residence, the students who came to ask for guidance had formed a long queue. Hey, aren't you from the alchemy school? Why are you here? Aren't you from the talisman school? Why are you here too? I'm here to look for Master Chu. I heard that his alchemy skills are unparalleled. One of our alchemists managed to refine a demi-immortal pill under his guidance. Master Chu knows alchemy too. Tsk, I heard that Master Chu is an all-rounder. I heard that he knows a thing or two about runes, alchemy, equipment, and so on. The line was filled with discussions. At that moment, in Chu Kuangren's residence, an incredibly powerful origin ripple suddenly erupted. Celestial light shone brightly between heaven and earth. Everyone was shocked by the horrifying origin ripple. The origin ripple grew stronger until it was complete. The complete origin ripple was a purple lightning bolt. The lightning flashed in the void and its majestic power swept across the academy. It's immortal Yuan. Someone has ascended to immortality. This is immortal Yuan formed from the lightning origin ripple. In the academy, only Mr. 7th cultivated the lightning origin ripple, and he's a top-notch half-immortal at that. Has Mr. 7th ascended to immortality? But why is he here? Just as they were in shock, a gasp suddenly rang. Under Master Chu's guidance, Mr. 7th has become an immortal. As soon as these words came out, the entire audience was silent. Everyone seemed to have lost the ability to speak at the same time. In the next instant, a wave of exclamations erupted like a tsunami. The entire place was boiling. What? Great Teacher Chu actually guided Mr. 7th to become an immortal? Are you for real? Is Great Teacher Chu that terrifying? He can actually guide others to become immortals. No, I have to go in and ask Great Teacher Chu. No one can stop me. I want to acknowledge Great Teacher Chu as my teacher. Get lost, I came here first. Giving pointers to others to become immortals. Such a thing was too rare in the Qinglan immortal world. It could even be said that this was the first time such a thing had happened. He had never heard of any great teacher with such capabilities. After all, everyone's Tao was different. To become an immortal, most people had to rely on their own enlightenment. The guidance of others could only serve as a reference at most. If one were to completely copy it mechanically, it would only harm others and oneself in the end. However, if there was really someone who could guide others to immortal ascension, what kind of realm would that person be at? Just how exaggerated was his comprehension of the Tao? Inside Chu Kuangren's residence, a middle-aged man with a sturdy physique slowly withdrew his immortal core fluctuations. This person was the Academy's Mr. 7th. He looked at the calm Chu Kuangren before him and bowed solemnly. Thank you for your guidance, Mr. Chu. He did not address Chu Kuangren as a fellow Taoist. Instead, he called him Mr. That showed how much he respected Chu Kuangren. Whoosh, Whoosh, several streams of light flew past. These people were the Academy's teachers. They arrived just in time to see the scene of Mr. Seventh bowing to Chu Kuangren. For a moment, everyone was a little confused. What was going on? Could it be that what those students said outside is true? Did Chu Kuangren really guide seventh brother to become an immortal? This is too unbelievable. Mr. Fourth's beautiful eyes widened as she could not help but exclaim. Seventh brother, what's going on? Mr. First frowned and asked. It's like this. Mr. Seventh took a deep breath and spoke tirelessly. It turned out that Mr. Seventh had obtained an immortal scripture in his early years, and it was this immortal scripture that allowed him to cultivate to where he was today. However, he later discovered that this immortal scripture had flaws. Although it could allow one to improve quickly, it would cause certain limitations in Taoist enlightenment, making it harder for Mr. Seventh to become an immortal. This was also the reason why he had not improved for many years. He had thought of giving up on this immortal scripture, but it was tantamount to destroying his own cultivation base. In the past few days, Chu Kuangren's reputation as a great teacher began to spread. He came here with the idea of giving it a try and at the same time test Chu Kuangren's ability. He wanted to see if Chu Kuangren had a way to solve this problem that had troubled him for many years. You all saw the result. Mr. Chu fixed the flaws in the immortal scripture for me, and because of that, I became an immortal. Mr. Seventh said excitedly. He looked at Chu Kuangren with admiration in his eyes. Upon hearing that, the other students stared at Chu Kuangren in shock. You're exaggerating, Mr. Seventh. He was able to become an immortal mainly because of his many years of accumulation. His foundation is far beyond that of an ordinary half-immortal. After fixing the flaws in the immortal scripture, he was able to accumulate enough to become an immortal. Chu Kuangren smiled faintly. As for why he could fix the immortal scripture, it was thanks to his strong comprehension and the analysis of the spirit of omniscience. In addition, he had read extensively in the sea of books some time ago, so his understanding of various immortal techniques had improved greatly. Under these conditions, he was able to fix the immortal scripture. Although he said so, the teachers were still extremely amazed. Some of them even had an eagerness in their eyes. Brother Chu, my medical skills have been stagnant for a long time. Can I ask for your advice? Mr. Fourth was the first to speak. I heard that Brother Chu also has extraordinary attainments in alchemy. If I may be so bold, I would like to spar with you, Mr. Tenth said. I would also like to discuss the mysteries of runes with you. Hey, you guys are too much. Brother Chu is only one person. I came here first, so of course I should go first. Mr. Fourth said with dissatisfaction. Fourth senior sister, if we were to say who should go first, it would definitely be me. I still have some small problems with the immortal scripture that I would like to ask Mr. Chu for guidance. Mr. Seventh said. The few teachers were in a heated argument. Not to mention the large group of students outside. Now, everyone in the 100 Academy, from the teachers to the students, had nothing but high praise for Chu Kuangren. Beside them, Sword Crown was secretly shocked. Is this the master's ability? It's amazing. At that moment, a ray of auspicious light surged from afar. A celestial crane flew over and landed in front of Chu Kuangren. It's the Dean's celestial crane. The teacher's expressions turned serious. In the 100 Academy, to a certain extent, this celestial crane represented the Dean. By the Dean's order, Brother Chu is appointed as the Academy's 13th gold-rank lecturer. I wonder if Brother Chu is willing. The celestial crane said. Its voice was like that of a 7 or 8-year-old child. Chu Kuangren pondered for a while. Sure. Chapter 990. There were hundreds of teachers in the 100 academies, but there were only 12 gold-ranked lecturers, who were Mr. 12, who stood in front of Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren was now the 13th. Mr. 13. The title of Master of the 100 Academies was not to be underestimated even by the immortals because they represented the 100 Academies. It was one of the most ancient orthodoxies in the Qinglan immortal realm. Chu Kuangren agreed to become Mr. 13 because he wanted to continue absorbing knowledge from the ocean of books. Besides, with the academy as his backing, he could also intimidate the immortal orthodoxies that harbored ill intentions towards him. Killing two birds with one stone, why not? Since then, the 100 academies had a new Mr. 13. Mr. 13, who was well-read and could be said to be an all-rounder. This news had spread throughout the 100 academies, and even some immortal orthodoxies had received the news. After knowing that this Mr. 13 was Chu Kuangren, some of the orthodoxies that were hostile towards Chu Kuangren were so angry that they screamed. Chu Kuangren has joined the 100 academies. And not as a student, but as a teacher. All the teachers in the academy are knowledgeable people. How did Chu Kuangren become the academy's Mr. 13? *CK, I'll have to think twice before I do anything to him. The 100 academies is not a force to be trifled with. That dean is one of the top few in the Qinglan immortal realm. I heard that his cultivation level has already reached the heavenly immortal realm. I can't believe Chu Kuangren has such good luck, inside the 100 academies. After Chu Kuangren became Mr. 13, he taught for a period of time. Then, he plunged into the ocean of books again. This time, he stayed in the sea of books for a full half a year, absorbing the knowledge in the sea of books almost crazily. Now that his 9 transformations 3 foundational soul training technique had reached the 7th transformation, his soul had become an immortal soul. Coupled with the unique nature of this god-tier technique, his comprehension had improved significantly. The 3 immortal souls, heaven, earth, and human, worked together to absorb the knowledge recorded in the ocean of books. His speed was much faster than the last time he came to the ocean of books. Coupled with the enhancement of the poetic chi naturally glorious phenomenon, in the short span of half a year, he had read and comprehended almost all of the countless books in the sea of books. This magnificent feat could be said to be unprecedented. In the sea of books, Chu Kuangren was still reading the books to absorb more knowledge. Mr. Fourth looked at him from the side and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, especially when he saw the other party's peerlessly handsome and flawless face. He felt that it was a feast for the eyes, and for a moment, he was a little dazed. However, at this very moment, rays of mysterious light circulated around Chu Kuangren's body. It was the strange phenomenon of having the scholarly air in one's belly. Mr. Fourth came back to his senses and couldn't help but be surprised. One must know that Chu Kuangren could already control this phenomenon very well. In the past few months, this phenomenon had not appeared much. But now, why did it appear again? Before she could figure it out, the mystical glow on Chu Kuangren's body became more and more dazzling. Countless runes surged and waves of Taoist rhymes could be heard. Then, under her shocked gaze, the mysterious brilliance mixed with countless runes turned into a golden light that shot into the sky. In the void, endless spiritual chi surged, golden lotuses bloomed, Tao sounds rang out, there were dragons and phoenixes, Qilins treading on the sea, for divine beasts rising, and other mysterious phenomena appeared. The entire Qinglan immortal world seemed to be shaking. Deep within the academy, the white-haired old man suddenly opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the sea of books with shock in his eyes. This feeling, could it be, the entire academy was shaken. All the teachers had arrived at the sea of books together. At the entrance of the sea of books, Mr. Fourth was stunned. "Fourth senior sister, what's going on?" Mr. Seventh asked. "Don't ask me, I don't know either." Mr. Fourth shook his head. At that moment, something strange happened again. Within that golden light, an extremely strange origin energy suddenly emerged. The moment that origin energy appeared, all the teachers and students felt their bodies tremble. It was as if some kind of mysterious enlightenment had emerged in their minds, and some of the cultivation questions that they had in the past were answered. For a moment, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. What kind of origin energy is this? I just felt the fluctuation, and I feel like I'm suddenly enlightened. Oh my God, what kind of power is this? I've never heard of this origin energy before. Even the experienced and knowledgeable gentlemen were shocked. At that moment, an immortal crane soared into the sky, and on its back sat a white-haired old man. Of course you don't know about this origin energy, because even in the ancient and complete immortal world, there were very few people who could comprehend the enlightenment origin energy, the white-haired old man exclaimed. Greetings, Dean. The teachers bowed one by one. The newcomer was the Dean of the 100 Schools Academy. The enlightenment origin energy? Mr. First frowned, then his pupils shrank. The rumored origin energy comprehended by the 100 Schools Academy saints? Yes. The Dean nodded. I didn't expect to see someone who could comprehend the enlightenment origin energy in my lifetime. Enlightenment was one of the most unique origins in the world. It could make the ignorant gain wisdom, tame wild beasts, and make all living beings abide by the rules. The enlightenment origin energy is extremely mysterious. Even if I tried my best, I still couldn't understand it. I can't believe a young immortal seed managed to comprehend it. The Dean said emotionally, even if this person doesn't become an immortal, with this enlightenment origin energy, he can still cultivate thousands of immortal seeds, have students all over the world, and become a famous master teacher. If he has enough opportunities of fortune, he can even become someone like the saints of the 100 Schools Academy and enlighten all living beings. The 100 Schools Academy had a rich heritage that could be traced back to the complete immortal world, which was the immortal ancient era of the previous era. And in that era, every single paragon master of the 100 Schools Academy was a renowned expert in the world of immortals. Even the Dean had to look up to such people. The golden beam of light gradually retracted, and so did the transformations and the mysterious runes around it. The enlightenment origin energy? What an unexpected gain! Chu Kuangren snapped out of the vast sea of knowledge and felt the changes in his body. He did not expect to accidentally understand the enlightenment origin energy while he was studying the 100 schools of thought and the vast sea of books. Enlightening others required knowledge that far surpassed others. Chu Kuangren had been crazily absorbing all kinds of knowledge to understand the enlightenment origin energy. Although it was unexpected, it was reasonable. This enlightenment origin energy was different from the other origins energy that Chu Kuangren had learned in the past. This origin energy was very mysterious. He felt that all the knowledge that he had learned during this period had been integrated under the effect of the enlightenment origin energy, making it easier for him to use it. Apart from that, his comprehension and learning abilities had also increased to varying degrees. One of the most mysterious origins in this world is indeed extraordinary. Chu Kuangren chuckled. However, enlightening the masses was still not the path that he wanted to take. It was too tiring. He was very lazy. He needed the help of Elder Ruyan, Ling Long, and the others to manage the Firmament Empire. Asking him to enlighten the masses? Forget it. Whoever wanted to go could go. Just like that, a bright path was placed in front of Chu Kuangren, but he abandoned it and refused to take it. Chapter 991. Chu Kuangren had already absorbed all the knowledge in the ocean of books. He suddenly felt a little uninterested and empty. Although he had absorbed a lot of knowledge from the ocean of books, he felt that he was still lacking something to create an origin of his own. Is it not time yet? Chu Kuangren murmured. Although he had made ample preparations to create his own origin, it was still unknown if he could succeed in the end. He did not think too much about it. Heaven planned, but man accomplished. He believed that man could triumph over nature. All he had to do was to do his best and prepare for everything. Brother Chu, nice to meet you. The Dean walked up to Chu Kuangren and smiled. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Greetings, Dean. He was not overly respectful to the Dean like the others. Instead, he was neither servile nor overbearing. However, the Dean and the others did not mind. After all, it was normal for a person who could understand the origin of education, a person who had the potential to become an existence like the holy sage of the academy, to have some pride. Hence, they would not be too demanding. Chu Kuangren only casually chatted with the Dean for a while during their first meeting. It was no different from a casual conversation. The other students could not help but be amazed. They could not communicate like that with the Dean. It was not that they dared to, but they were very respectful to the dean, so it was inevitable that they would feel restrained in front of him. However, Chu Kuangren was not restrained at all. That was because he placed himself on equal footing with the dean. Chu Kuangren's first meeting with the dean ended with a casual chat. The next few days passed by peacefully. He was either teaching the students of the academy or giving pointers to the little fox. Lan Yu, who had understood the origin of education, and the spirit of omniscience, could be considered a great teacher. There was a hint of the demeanor of the holy sage of the academy. On this day, Chu Kuangren was studying the origin of energy. Now that his soul had been upgraded into an immortal soul, his consciousness could freely enter and exit the origin realm to study all kinds of origins. He roamed the origin realm every day to study the wonders of the origin. However, just as he was studying the origin, he suddenly felt a strange vibration in the green orchid immortal realm. This vibration affected the entire green orchid immortal realm. What is this energy? Chu Kuangren frowned and returned his consciousness to his body. Following that, his immortal consciousness surged out and headed towards the source of the vibration. Not only him, but all the powerhouses in the entire Qinglan immortal world also sensed it and were trying to find the source of this power. Above the clouds, mysterious waves of the Wei circulated, and a golden ball of light emerged from the clouds. Within the ball of light, Tao patterns intertwined. The moment all the experts saw the ball of light, they felt an unparalleled shock. That feeling was like a mortal seeing lightning for the first time. Shock, fear, and even worship. Will of the immortal world. This orb of light contains the will of the immortal world. All the experts sucked in a cold breath. Just like how the Tao of heaven could be born on some planets with life, the world of immortals would also be born with a will similar to the Tao of heaven. It was rumored that the consciousness of the ancient and complete immortal realm could even be compared to the will of the great Tao of the universe. Now, the will of the broken immortal world was second only to the will of the great Tao of the universe. It was beyond the imagination of ordinary immortals. Why is the will of the immortal world inside the golden light? What is it? The experts were puzzled. When Chu Kuangren's immortal consciousness saw the golden light, he immediately asked the spirit of omniscience, Shao AI, to analyze it. However, before Shao AI could do anything, the golden light seemed to have sensed something and split into 7 parts. Each part carried a part of the immortal world's will and flew in all directions. When the experts saw the scattered golden light, they could not help but want to stop it. Even a fool would know that the light that contained the immortal world's will was not an ordinary item. It must contain a great opportunity of fortune. It was an opportunity of fortune that even the immortals would be jealous of. However, the speed of the 7 light orbs was extremely fast. In an instant, they escaped into the void and disappeared. All the experts tried to track them, but they could not find any trace of them. The battle of heavenly will, the 7 lights unite, for the destined realm child. A loud voice resounded in the minds of the experts. Even the cultivators of the entire Qinglan immortal world could feel it. At that moment, the entire Qinglan immortal world went crazy. What was that voice just now? You heard it too. Only the immortal world's will has the ability to speak in the minds of the cultivators of the world. There's no other possibility. But what does it mean? The struggle for the heavenly will, when the 7 lights combine into one, the heavenly will world child. Does that mean that a heavenly will child will appear in this era? And when the heavenly will children fight each other, they will combine the 7 lights to become the heavenly will world child? Realm child. Does that mean the immortal realm child? It must be. The immortal realm child will definitely receive the protection of the immortal world's will. When that happens, becoming an immortal will be a piece of cake. Moreover, the immortal realm child will be able to do whatever he wants in the immortal realm. A great opportunity of fortune, an unprecedented opportunity of fortune. I must find the 7 lights. I want to become the immortal realm child. Countless cultivators went crazy. The orthodoxies went crazy too. The entire Qinglan immortal world fell into an unprecedented frenzy. Everyone wanted to fight for the 7 lights and become the destined realm child. Inside the 100 Academy. Chu Kuangren opened his eyes with a playful look on his face. Destined realm child? What kind of game is this Immortal Worlds will playing? Is it trying to give itself a son out of nowhere? A great opportunity of fortune usually meant a great risk. He did not think that the Immortal Worlds would give away such a great opportunity of fortune for nothing. There must be a deeper meaning behind this. Master, the dean is here. At that moment, Lan Yu said from outside the door. Chu Kuangren replied, got it. He walked out of the door and saw the dean and Gu Lufang. Dean, what brings you here out of the blue? The battle of Heavenly Will has begun. I'm just here to confirm if Brother Chu is the destined realm child. The dean smiled. As you can see, the light orb did not look for me. I'm not the destined realm child. But Brother Gu, did you see any light orbs? Gu Lufang shook her head. No. It seems that neither you nor I are the destined realm child. Chu Kuangren laughed. He looked at the dean. Dean, you don't seem to be surprised by the battle of Heavenly Will. Did you know anything beforehand? I'm an expert in the Tao of divination. I've divined the future changes of the Azure Orchid Immortal Realm and predicted the battle of Heavenly Will. However, I don't know the details, the dean said. Even someone as talented as Brother Chu isn't the destined realm child. I'm really curious who the destined realm children are. Grandpa, do you have a candidate in mind? Gu Lufang asked the dean. Chu Kuangren was stunned. He did not expect Gu Lufang to be the dean's grandson. No wonder he was a fairy seed king at such a young age. The Immortal Worlds will has concealed the Heavenly Will. I can't divine anything. The dean shook his head. After confirming that Chu Kuangren was not the destined realm child, the dean and Gu Lufang left. On the way, Gu Lufang was puzzled. Grandpa, if someone like Brother Chu isn't the destined realm child, are those destined realm children more outstanding than Brother Chu? No. The dean shook his head. He's not the destined realm child because he's an anomaly that even the Immortal Worlds will cannot manipulate. Chapter 992. Divine Dragon Island. In a blood-colored dragon pool. A golden-robed young man stood in the air. The thick blood mist in the blood pool surged towards him. Suddenly, a golden light entered the blood pool and arrived before the golden-robed young man. The golden-robed young man was shocked. This is, after seeing what the golden light was, the golden-robed young man was overjoyed. He could not help but laugh. The will of the immortal world. I really am the child of destiny. 7 lights fused into one, the child of destiny. Very good. After I fuse with the blood of the immortal ancient dragon clan, I will marry the pure-blooded divine phoenix of Mount Wudong. When the time comes, I will fuse with the dragon phoenix and I will be able to cultivate the strongest dragon phoenix immortal body in the world. Together with the immortal world's will. May I ask who in the immortal world can compare to me? Ha! The golden dragon young master was extremely excited. The blood pool around him churned. The news of the golden dragon young master obtaining the immortal world's will and becoming the child of destiny quickly spread to the upper echelons of Divine Dragon Island. The golden dragon bloodline, in particular, was in high spirits. The immortal worlds will split into 7 and scattered in all directions. They sought fated people to attach themselves to and become the child of destiny to fight for the heavenly fate. Divine Flame Cult. A servant who was bullied dragged his exhausted body back to his residence. When he thought of the bullying he suffered today, his eyes were filled with hatred. He clenched his fists and veins bulged. Damn it! Didn't I just secretly learn an immortal art? How dare they beat me up like this? One day, I, Lin Yen, swear that I will make those who bullied me pay 100-fold. At this moment, a ripple appeared in the void before him. A ball of golden light suddenly appeared before him. Lin Yen was stunned. What is this? He looked at the golden light in front of him and stretched out his hand. The moment he touched the golden light, a large amount of comprehension regarding the Tao rapidly surged into his mind. His cultivation was also rising rapidly. In a few breaths' time, Lin Yan had become a peak Tao Lord. Immortal World's Will, Divine Flame Great Tao. This Immortal World's Will contains the Divine Flame Great Tao. As long as you continue cultivating according to this path, you will definitely become an immortal in the future. Ha ha ha, my opportunity has come. From then on, the servant had become the son of destiny, ascending to the heavens in a single step. The other side. In the great Yuan God dynasty, one of the 12 kings of immortal seeds, Yuan Su, held a golden ball of light in his hand. There was a playful look in his eyes. Interesting. I've just awakened the memories of my past life, and the will of the immortal world comes knocking on my door. Is it going to call me the chosen of heaven? Ha, is this a coincidence, or is it the will of the immortal world? Forget it. No matter what, this will of the immortal world is extremely useful to me. Moreover, quite a few supreme immortal seeds have appeared in this life. Even if I have the memories of my past life, it won't be easy to defeat them. Especially Chu Kuangren. At the mention of Chu Kuangren's name, Yuan Su could not help but reveal a strange look in his eyes. There was a deep sense of dread in his tone. Perhaps after I refine the will of the immortal world and comprehend its profundities, I'll be able to contend against this person. Yuan Su murmured. Oh, could there be a mistake? Am I the chosen of heaven? In a certain mountain range, a red-robed woman holding a spear could not help but frown as she looked at the golden ball of light in front of her. She felt that something was not right. How could an outsider like her become the chosen of heaven? Although I'm curious as to why the will of the immortal world would come looking for me, how can I turn a blind eye to such a great opportunity? The red-robed woman grabbed the golden ball of light. Suddenly, a large amount of enlightenment surged into her heart, instantly elevating her understanding of the Tao to an extremely high level. She even mastered the origin energy. Her cultivation base also improved by leaps and bounds, directly reaching the peak of the Heavenly Lord realm. She could even step onto the path of immortality at any time. The will of the immortal world is indeed extraordinary. The red-robed woman said emotionally. She had only begun to integrate the will of the immortal world, and it had already given her such a huge improvement. Once the integration was completed, how much more powerful would it be? Moreover, what would happen if all 7 lights were gathered? I didn't expect to meet a chosen of heaven here. At that moment, a cold voice rang out. The red-robed woman's expression changed drastically. She hurriedly retreated, holding the long spear in her hand as she stared at the cultivator who suddenly appeared in front of her. It was a cold woman dressed in a palace robe. She had delicate eyebrows, creamy skin, and a slim figure. More importantly, the aura emanating from her body made the red-robed woman feel suffocated. This was definitely an immortal. How unlucky! I've just obtained the will of the immortal world, and I've already encountered an immortal. If this person wants to kill me, I definitely won't be able to fight back. I've just become a chosen of heaven, and I'm going to die. What kind of *T chosen of heaven is this? The red-robed woman groaned inwardly. The woman in the palace robe seemed to have read her mind. She smiled faintly and said, "Don't be nervous. The chosen of heaven carries the will of the immortal world. If I kill you, I'll also be entangled by karma." Senior, what are you trying to do? The red-robed woman did not let down her guard because of this. Your aura proves that you're an outsider, and yet an outsider has become a chosen of heaven. This is very interesting. Now that the heavenly fate battle has begun, all the great ones in the Qinglan immortal world are betting on finding and supporting a chosen of heaven to become a chosen of heaven. And I, on the other hand, want to bet on you. I'm from the Jade Pure Immortal sect. If you're willing, I can take you in as my disciple, teach you cultivation techniques, and help you become a chosen of heaven. The woman in the palace robe smiled faintly. Do I have a choice? The red-robed woman smiled bitterly. She knew that if she did not agree, the woman in the palace robe would not let her leave so easily. Moreover, although she had become a chosen of heaven, she did not have any background, so it would be very difficult for her to compete with other chosen of heaven. Perhaps she could rely on the Jade Pure Immortal sect. The heavenly fate battle, a hint of excitement appeared in the red-robed woman's eyes. It had been a long time since she felt this kind of excitement. Welcome. By the way, what's your name? Yan Honghua. Inside the 100 Academy. Chu Kuangren was holding a book in his hand, reading it. It was the green capsule Heavenly Scroll. A heavenly scroll that recorded countless mysteries of the Tao of medicine. In front of him, dozens of students were sitting upright and still, listening to him talk about the Tao of medicine. They looked like they were intoxicated. Alright, today's lesson ends here. You may leave now. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Mr. 13, please continue with your lesson. Someone said, and the others looked like they wanted to continue as well. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Let's talk after you've learned everything today. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Helpless, the crowd then left one by one. Master, are you done with your lesson? Jianguan walked up and said. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Jianguan looked at Chu Kuangren, who was still reading, and was surprised. It had been 2 years since Chu Kuangren came to the 100 Academy. In these 2 years, Chu Kuangren's cultivation level did not increase, but Jianguan felt that he was becoming more and more unpredictable. Occasionally, Chu Kuangren would inadvertently leak an aura that made Jianguan's heart palpitate. It was difficult for him to guess how strong Chu Kuangren was now. Chapter 993. Master, I'd like to leave. Jianguan said after a moment of hesitation. Alright, I understand. Chu Kuangren nodded. Master, are you not going to ask me what I'm going to do? Go to the Sword Burial Ocean. Yes. Jianguan nodded. Sooner or later, there will be an explanation for what happened between me and Sword Crown. In the past, Jianguan had lost to Sword Crown, and that battle had always been a thorn in his heart. He and Sword Crown would definitely have another battle. 2 days later. Jianguan left. Although the outcome of this trip to the Sword Burial Ocean was uncertain, he still had to go without hesitation. If I come back alive, Jianguan will continue to follow you, Master. I won't hesitate to climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of flames for you. Before leaving, Jianguan smiled faintly. Chu Kuangren could not help but roll his eyes when he heard that. There was no one else like him. After Jianguan left, Chu Kuangren had an unexpected harvest. The God of Enlightenment wine that he brewed previously was completed. Looking at the 10 jars of God of Enlightenment wine in front of him, Chu Kuangren could not help but lick his lips. This wine allows one to enter a state of epiphany, and from there, I can deduce what I've learned. Hence, he decisively went into closed-door meditation with the 10 jars of God of Enlightenment wine. While he was in closed-door meditation, somewhere in the Green Orchid Immortal world, a few cultivators were fighting a sea beast. Terrifying energy waves swept across half of the sea, causing the sea water to tumble violently. After a while, the cultivators finally killed the sea beast. Phew! We did it. One of the cultivators breathed a sigh of relief. The cultivators then began to harvest the sea beast's blood, flesh, bones, and other materials that were helpful for cultivation. However, at that moment, one of the cultivators exclaimed and pointed at the sea in the distance with a face full of shock. Look, what's that? All they saw was a huge black shadow floating in the fog of the sea, and a majestic and ancient aura emanated from it. When the black shadow completely revealed itself, everyone could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. It was a very large island. The island was filled with celestial radiance. Countless or complete. There were restrictions scattered all over the island. Vaguely, all kinds of rare treasures, wild beasts, and other strange creatures could be seen. What kind of island is this? Why haven't I heard of it before? This ancient aura. Absolutely extraordinary. Could this be the legendary immortal island of Penglai? A knowledgeable cultivator exclaimed in shock. When the 4 words, Immortal Island Penglai, came out, everyone's pupils trembled violently. Looking at the huge island, his eyes were burning. The immortal island of Penglai is known as the Court of 10,000 Immortals. The immortal island of Penglai, which was worshipped by all Buddhas. Oh my God, why is it here? The immortal island of Penglai. Legends from the ancient immortal world. The execution ground of sect leader Tong Tian, the most powerful immortal. The location of the Jia school in the immortal world. Wasn't it destroyed during the Great War of the immortal world? Why are you here? Isn't this the complete Penglai Island? It was a fragment of Penglai Island. There must be some unimaginable opportunities in this, right? Fast. Quick, go in and investigate. All the cultivators who witnessed the emergence of immortal island Penglai were shocked. Right after that, they all flew into Penglai Island to explore. But even if it was a Penglai fragment, the restriction hidden in it was not something that ordinary cultivators could resist. Many people died because of it. Even so, there were still countless cultivators who went forward. All for the sect of Jia's opportunity of fortune. The news of Penglai Island's emergence spread throughout the Qinglan immortal realm in a very short time, and all the orthodoxies took action. All of a sudden, a storm was brewing in the Qinglan immortal realm. The battle of Heavenly Will had yet to come to an end, but the Penglai Island had already appeared. What about the current Qinglan immortal realm? There were many big movements. Inside the 100 Clan Academy, Chu Kuangren was hugging a few jars of divine enlightenment wine. It could be said that he was living in a drunken stupor and did not care about the outside world at all. However, the higher-ups of the 100 Clan Academy dared not let their guard down. Penglai Immortal Island's reappearance, this type of thing was something that would leave even the immortal ancient inheritances shaken. This was especially the case for those immortals who had lived for a long time, the more they understood what Penglai Island represented. All Buddhas paid homage to it, and tens of thousands of immortals paid homage to it. The weight of these 8 words was too heavy. Although they could not rule out the possibility of exaggeration, it was enough to show what kind of resources Penglai Island had in its heyday. Even if it was only a fragment, no one dared to say that it did not have any heritage or resources left behind by Penglai Island. Inside the Unity Sky Pavilion, the Penglai Island is of great importance. We cannot afford to neglect it. I suggest that we bring Gu Lufang, Gu Wuqing, and the other students to check it out. Mr. Seven said. I guess the other orthodoxies will also take action. If that's the case, let's hurry. Should we bring 13 along? Mr. 4 suddenly said. 13 was also the Academy's Mr. 13, Chu Kuangren. Has 13 come out of his closed-door meditation? I'll go take a look, Mr. 4 said helplessly. Mr. 4 arrived at Chu Kuangren's residence and saw Lan Yu and the little fox. However, Chu Kuangren's room was still tightly shut. There were layers of restrictions outside, and the faint fragrance of wine wafted out. No one knew what Chu Kuangren was doing inside. He couldn't be drunk, right? Mr. 4 thought strangely. She had never seen Chu Kuangren drink that much. She shook her head. This Mr. 13 of the Academy had too many secrets that no one could see through. Miss Lan Yu, is Mr. 13 still not out of his closed-door meditation? For Mr. 11, Mr. 12, and so on, Mr. 4 would usually address them as numbers, or old 7, old 6, and so on. However, when it came to Chu Kuangren, she addressed him as Mr. 7. The rest of the teachers did the same. This was because Chu Kuangren's knowledge was so rich that even they, who seemed to be extremely knowledgeable, were amazed by it. Chu Kuangren was now a teacher of the academy. This academy included the students and the teachers. Not yet. Lan Yu shook her head. Then, she asked, I heard that the immortal island of Penglai has reappeared. Is that why you're here, Mr. 4? Mr. 4 nodded. Yes. Soon, Mr. First, Mr. Seven, and I will bring some students there. After all, the opportunities of fortune on Penglai Island are too important for the academy to ignore. I'll go with you. Lan Yu glanced at Chu Kuangren's room and said. She could not always be by her master's side. She had to take the initiative to find opportunities of fortune and strengthen herself. Penglai Island was an opportunity. I'll go too, I'll go too. The little fox jumped up and said. Mr. Four pondered for a while and nodded. Sure. Lan Yu's current strength was no weaker than any immortal seed. Even Gu Lufang might not be able to defeat her. She was already on the path of immortal ascension. As for the little fox, her divine ability to ignore restrictions would be of great help in the exploration of Penglai Island. Lan Yu, the little fox, and the others made their preparations and then left the academy with Mr. Four, Mr. First, and Mr. Seven. Meanwhile, in the Qinglan immortal world, the other orthodoxies were also making their moves. Countless cultivators headed towards the direction of Penglai Island. It was even more grand than the immortal ancient battlefield. Chapter 994. Penglai Immortal Island. Countless cultivators rushed over in search of fortuitous encounters. A large number of soldiers stood on a warship, and these soldiers were clustered around a young man dressed in luxurious robes. This man's aura was extraordinary. He was high and mighty, exuding an indescribable air of nobility. This person was the current crown prince of one of the celestial orthodoxies, the great Yuan God dynasty, Yuan Su. It was also one of the 12 immortal seed kings. On the other warship, a young man with a long saber on his back sat with his eyes closed. Swords were stabbed all around him, but every single one of them was a broken sword. These broken swords were surrounded by wisps of gray gas. That was the resentment of the sword. As the young man absorbed the sword grudge, it nourished his saber Tao, making his aura even stronger. The young master of the sword burial Si, the saber sovereign. Ba. Benefactors, how have you been? A Buddhist chant was heard, and a handsome monk in plain clothes smiled faintly at the crowd. This person was the immortal seed of Jinshan Temple. His aura was actually not any weaker than the Hui Fa of the past. However, not many people responded to him. Only a young man with a long sword on his back nodded slightly at him. The handsome monk was not angry and continued to observe the situation. All the immortal grade orthodoxies and immortal seeds had gathered. The surrounding cultivators couldn't help but click their tongues in wonder and discuss animatedly. The crown prince of the great Yuan God dynasty, Duguyu of the Spirit Emperor Mountain, the little Arhat of the Golden Mountain Temple who is on par with the little sage monk of the past, and the saber king of the sword burial sea. TSK, these are all kings of immortal seeds. They are indeed powerful. Do you think there are 1 or 2 children of destiny hidden among them? That's not impossible. Look at that Saber King. Rumor has it that the Saber King was defeated by Chu Kuangren in a single move. However, in just 2 short years, he has rapidly risen to power and defeated many swordsmen. Moreover, he has also cultivated a strange technique that allows him to absorb the sword resentment chi for his own use. His strength has already set foot on the path to immortality. None of them are good people. Buzz. Ripples appeared in the void. In the distance, a huge fiery red warship flew over. The warship was engraved with a very obvious flame pattern. It's the Divine Flame Ming cult. Look, that young man, suddenly. Someone exclaimed. A young man stood with his hands behind his back on the Divine Flame Ming cult's warship. His body was filled with terrifying fluctuations of the origin of fire. He was surrounded by 5 different types of divine flames. Its might was even stronger than the fire god Huang of the past. This person is the newly appointed first god of the Divine Fire Ming cult. His name is Lin Yan. He can actually control 5 types of divine fire. How amazing! It is said that this person was originally a servant. But after that, he obtained a great opportunity. Rise to power completely and gain the favor of the Divine Flame Ming cult. He had become the first divine son in a single leap, and his way of doing things was incomparably ruthless. Those who had humiliated him were burned by his divine fire for 10 days and 10 nights. 10 days and 10 nights. How is that possible? It's said that in order to prevent those people from dying midway, the number one divine child made a bunch of healing pills. Burning on one side. Treating on one side. It burned on and off for a full 10 days and 10 nights. What a pervert, hush. Be quiet, don't let others hear you. The divine flame Ming cult's Lin Yan has appeared. There was another commotion in the crowd. And in the worship of the great Yuan God dynasty? Yuan Su seemed to sense something. He looked at Lin Yan. There was a strange look in his eyes. This aura. Interesting. Looks like he's my competitor. Lin Yan seemed to sense it as well and looked at Yuan Su. Their gazes met, and their eyes were filled with intense hostility. Some people saw it. They could not help but feel puzzled. These two people know each other. That shouldn't be the case. One is the high and mighty crown prince. The other was once a servant. What kind of connection could they have? Everyone was puzzled. Only the people involved knew where this hostility came from. What's wrong, God? An elder of the divine fire Ming cult walked to Lin Yan's side and asked. I met a destined opponent. Lin Yan said indifferently. Hearing this, the elder's pupils constricted. Could it be the son of destiny? That Yuan Su is the son of destiny? Yes, he does have the aura of the immortal world will on him. Lin Yan said. At this moment, Lin Yan and Yuan Su seemed to have sensed something. Looking into the distance, they saw a small boat breaking through the waves on the surface of the sea, slowly moving towards them. Two women stood on the skiff. One was wearing a palace dress and had a cold and refined aura. The other was wearing a red dress and held a long spear in her hand. She had a heroic aura and gave off the feeling that she was not inferior to men. Yuan Su and Lin Yan's eyes landed on the girl in red. This aura. She's also the son of destiny. Interesting. Another one is here. On the boat. Yan Honghua looked at the woman in palace attire and said with some dissatisfaction, I say, Honorable Master, look at everyone else. They all have warships, each one of them packed with extravagant ships. Look at us, we only have this small boat. I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry to trouble you. The girl in the palace dress smiled faintly. Forget it. Yan Honghua twitched her lips and didn't bother about it anymore. She glanced at the immortal seeds and a look of disappointment appeared in her eyes. I don't want to see the king. Is the king not here yet or is he unwilling to come? She shook her head and stopped thinking about it. She looked at Yuan Su and Lin Yan and smiled at the girl in the palace dress. Master, I think I saw the son of destiny. Do you think I should act now? Up to you. The girl in the palace dress said faintly. Hearing this, Yan Honghua no longer hesitated. She soared into the sky and held a long spear in her hand. Waves of violent origin energy spread out from her. Son of destiny, do you dare to come out and fight? Her words caused Lin Yan and Yuan Su to frown. Is there something wrong with this girl's brain? She dares to expose her identity as the son of destiny so openly. Or does she have a powerful backer behind her? Regardless, the two of them didn't dare to act rashly. Oh. Are all sons of destiny cowards? Yan Honghua sneered. This girl, Lin Yan and Yuan Su raised their brows. Woman, you are playing with fire. Lin Yan's eyes were cold. Divine flames whizzed out from his body and turned into a ferocious beast that lunged at Yan Honghua. Facing the might of the divine flames, Yan Honghua neither retreated nor dodged. She stabbed out with her spear and easily shattered the divine flames. Following this, Lin Yan and Yan Honghua started fighting. The son of destiny's first battle. The two of them fought back and forth, neither giving way to the other. The strength of their battle had already reached the level of some powerful half-immortals. The crowd couldn't help but exclaim. Some of the immortal seeds even had a solemn expression. The Son of Destiny lives up to his name. This kind of combat strength is indeed not simple. Seeing that Lin Yan was unable to defeat Yan Honghua, one of the immortals from the Divine Flame Ming cult was anxious and wanted to help. But before he could move, an indescribable pressure enveloped his body, causing him to break out in cold sweat. This pressure, the immortal looked at the sea. On the boat, the girl in the palace dress was looking at him. Her eyes were as calm as water. But the immortal knew that if he made the slightest move, this girl would definitely kill him in an instant. What a powerful immortal. This was definitely the strongest existence in the Qinglan immortal world. Was she an immortal from the immortal ancient orthodoxy? Chapter 995. Yan Honghua's first battle was against Lin Yan, and both of them were equally matched. Moreover, with the celestial island in front of them, it would be unwise to reveal too many of their trump cards before they even started exploring. Yan Honghua was also aware of this, so she only wanted to test the strength of the Child of Destiny this time. After fighting for a while, Yan Honghua retreated. Humph, I'll let you off this time. Lin Yan snorted. Who will let who go? I don't know either. Yan Honghua sneered. After the two of them stopped fighting, another warship appeared not far away. On the warship were the students of the 100 Academies. Everyone could tell that this was the ship of the 100 Academies. For a moment, everyone's gaze turned solemn. Will that person come? Academy. I heard that that person has become a teacher in the academy. Now that Peng Lai has appeared, that person should also come. A man who defies the heavens and slays immortals. Everyone raised their heads in anticipation. The immortal seed's gazes turned solemn. Yan Honghua also looked at the academy's warship expectantly. But when they looked at the people on the academy's warship, they could not help but look disappointed. That person was not here. The people who came from the academy this time are also extraordinary. There are 3 teachers leading them, and all 3 of them are immortals. There is also Gu Lufang and Gu Wuqing, the king of celestial seeds. As expected of an immortal ancient orthodoxy. Indeed, but I don't see that person. When that person isn't here, I feel like it has lost a lot of its luster. On the warship of Sword Burial Sea. The Saber King frowned as he slowly stood up. A domineering surge of saber intent emanated from his body as he stared at the crowd from the academy. Where's Chu Kuangren? There's no reason for him not to come to Penglai Island. Mr. 13 is currently in seclusion. Mr. 4th said calmly. Seclusion? The appearance of Penglai Island? But he was in seclusion. What kind of joke was this? Is he a coward? The Saber King's body emitted a grey sword resentment aura. His eyes gradually revealed a brutal look. Mr. First glanced at him and said faintly, I heard that there's an evil saber technique in the burial of Sword Sea called the 3 Sabers of Avicii. Was it the taboo of the buried Sword Sea? From the looks of it, you must have cultivated this cultivation method. So what if I am? I cultivate the 3 blades of Avicii and forcefully absorb the sword resentment chi. To defeat Chu Kuangren, I don't care if he's really in closed-door meditation or not. Tell him to come out now. The tyrannical look in the Saber King's eyes became even more intense. Saber intents crisscrossed the surroundings as if there were countless sword-wielding evil spirits roaring. You want to fight against King Yi? It's funny. At this time, an indifferent voice sounded. He saw Yan Honghua holding a gun. He slowly walked over. Hear her voice. Lan Yu was pleasantly surprised. Honghua. It's really you. Lan Yu? Long time no see. Yan Honghua looked at Lan Yu and sensed that her aura was no weaker than her own. If he hadn't obtained the immortal world's will, if he became the son of destiny, he would probably be left far behind by the other party. Looks like you have a chance too. You're the same. Lan Yu laughed. Fellow countrymen meeting fellow countrymen. Both of them had a lot to say. The child of destiny. I don't mind killing you here and then snatching your heaven's will. The Saber King said coldly. Give it a try. Yan Honghua pointed her spear at him. Lan Yu stared coldly at the Saber King. You were defeated by our master in one move back then. You can only be so arrogant when our master isn't around. If our master is here, he can kill you with a single thought. The two ladies' auras circulated and their domineering auras emanated. Not bad. If our master is here, he can defeat you with a single thought. You think you're worthy of being our master's enemy? You're overestimating yourself. Gu Lufang, Gu Wuqing, and the others spoke one after another. The crowd could not help but be amazed. Every single one of them was a top-notch fairy seed cultivator. Some of them were even fairy seed kings, the children of destiny. However, every single one of them respected Chu Kuangren very much. This piqued the curiosity of countless cultivators who had never seen Chu Kuangren before. What kind of peerless figure was he? B*****. The Saber King's eyes were filled with rage as he was being belittled by the crowd. The long saber at his waist was already trembling. Just when he could no longer control his emotions and was about to attack, someone came to his side and held him down. It was a black-robed middle-aged man with a determined look on his face. A steady saber intent emanated from his body like a huge mountain. Chu Kuangren is not here, and now is not the time to attack. Keep your emotions in check and don't let the sword resentment chi control you. The black-robed middle-aged man said. I understand, uncle. The Saber King took a deep breath and gradually calmed himself down. He snorted coldly and said no more. Meanwhile, the lady in the palace attire had arrived at the Academy's warship. Mr. First and the others were stunned when they saw her. A strong cultivator. A top-notch cultivator who was no weaker than the principal. Mr. First thought to himself. You are, greetings, everyone. I'm Gong Yu from the Jade Pure sect, and also Honghua's honorable teacher. Gong Yu smiled. Oh, a senior from the Jade Pure sect. My apologies. Mr. First cupped his hands in greeting. The Jade Pure Immortal School, like the 100 Clans Academy, originated from the Immortal Ancient Era. Gong Yu was the current leader of the Jade Pure Immortal School. She usually lived in seclusion and was rarely seen by the world. As the immortal orthodoxies arrived one by one, everyone began to enter Penglai Island to explore. However, most of them acted independently. The only one who joined forces was, seal off Penglai Island. No other cultivators are allowed to enter. Any non-immortal grade orthodoxies that dare to come within 1,000 miles of Penglai Island will be killed without mercy. Those weak ones, don't get involved in this. All the major immortal orthodoxies joined forces and set up layers of restrictions around Penglai Island, isolating the rest of the cultivators outside. Some of the cultivators who were already exploring Penglai Island had no choice but to retreat due to the threat of the immortal orthodoxies. When the immortal ancient battlefield first appeared, it was difficult for the immortal orthodoxies to seal it off due to its huge size. Hence, many cultivators were allowed to explore. However, this time, the immortal orthodoxies had joined forces to seal off Penglai Island's shard. They would not allow anyone else to enter so easily. Although the rest of the cultivators complained, they could not do anything about it. It was their fault for not having any background or strength. TSK, how domineering. Yan Honghua said. This is the reality. Even the immortal ancient orthodoxies can't change it. Gong Yu smiled helplessly. Forget it. Let's go in and explore. All the orthodoxies continued to explore Penglai Island. Meanwhile, hundreds of millions of miles away. In the 100 Academy. In Chu Kuangren's residence, an endless amount of spiritual qi surged and gathered. Amidst the Taoist rhymes, the validation seal was formed. Not long after, the transformation dissipated. The door opened with a creak. The smell of alcohol gushed out, and a white-robed young man walked out along with it. This young man's eyes were misty and his handsome face was flushed red. He subconsciously called out, "Lan Yu, get me a basin of water." However, no one in the courtyard responded. It was even to the extent that the phenomenon of the Dharma verification seal didn't draw over a single figure. It seemed like such a phenomenon wasn't strange to the members of the academy. In fact, it was almost the same. Chu Kuangren had caused so many transformations that the academy's students and teachers were already numb to it. Isn't it just a few validation seals? What's there to be surprised about? Chapter 996. Lan Yu, get me a basin of water. Your master has a headache, Chu Kuangren called out again. He looked like he was suffering from a hangover. The divine enlightenment wine was too intoxicating. Although it allowed him to create his own immortal techniques and gain a lot of insights, even an immortal would be drunk to the point of being unconscious. Where is everyone? Chu Kuangren called out a few times but did not see anyone. He was a little confused. After a while, he slowly recovered from his hangover and washed his face with a basin of water. Where did everyone go? They went to Penglai Island. Xiao Ai's voice rang in his mind. What? Penglai Island, the rumored location of the Jie sect, the prime of Tongtian's execution ground? Chu Kuangren was stunned. Yes. This place has appeared. Chu Kuangren was a little surprised. Sigh, even the little fox has left, leaving me alone. How boring. Chu Kuangren sighed. Forget it, I'll draw some lottery to comfort myself. He had been drunk for the past few months and had not drawn any lottery. He hoped that the luck that he had accumulated over the past few months would explode. Chu Kuangren thought to himself and opened the fantasy roulette. Congratulations, host, you have drawn a God-tier epiphany card. God-tier epiphany card? He had drawn an epiphany card before, but it was his first time drawing a God-tier epiphany card. According to the introduction, the effect of this epiphany card was more than 10 times that of the divine enlightenment wine, and the effect lasted for 3 days. 3 days, more than 10 times the effect of the divine enlightenment wine? Sounds good, but it's not too surprising. Speaking of which, I haven't drawn a supreme god-tier reward in a long time. Chu Kuangren pouted. He was not satisfied, but he was not too disappointed either. He kept the epiphany card and decided to use it in the future. As for supreme god-tier rewards, he had only drawn them 4 times over the years. Even with the help of the lucky halo, the probability was still so low that he did not have much hope. Instead of relying on the fantasy roulette, I should think about how to obtain some opportunities of fortune from the outside world, such as Penglai Island. Chu Kuangren was also very interested in Penglai Island. Rumor had it that all Buddhas paid homage to it and all immortals paid homage to it. Sect Master Tong Tian was a supreme expert among immortals who was not weaker than the Queen Mother of the West. What kind of fortuitous opportunities were hidden in his execution ground? Chu Kuangren was looking forward to it. Swoosh, ripples appeared in the void, and Chu Kuangren disappeared from where he stood. Billions of miles away. Penglai Island. The immortal orthodoxies worked together to seal the area, preventing other cultivators from entering. Domineering, too domineering. These immortal orthodoxies actually won't let us in. They actually forcibly occupied Penglai Island. This is truly too despicable. Bastard, the cultivators outside Penglai Island were furious. But looking at the cultivators from the immortal orthodoxies who had sealed off Penglai Island, they could do nothing but rage. At this moment, a stream of light suddenly arrived outside of Penglai Island. The light dissipated. A white-robed youth appeared in front of everyone. This young man was extremely handsome and his actions were extraordinary. He flew towards Penglai Island and encountered many restrictions along the way. He frowned and casually threw a punch. In an instant, the void exploded. Layers upon layers of restrictions were destroyed as easily as crushing dry weeds. The cultivators from the immortal orthodoxies sensed the commotion and rushed over, glaring at Chu Kuangren with hostility. Who are you? How dare you destroy our restrictions? Do you have a death wish? The crowd yelled. However, Chu Kuangren remained calm and said, "These restrictions blocked my way, so I destroyed them. Is there a problem with that? Kid, looks like you're here to pick a fight." Just as the conflict was about to erupt. "Stop!" A cultivator stood out and yelled. He looked at Chu Kuangren with a serious expression. "Brother Chu, please go in." Chu Kuangren glanced at him before his figure flashed and disappeared. After he left, the remaining cultivators looked at each other. Most of them still did not know what was going on, but some of them had guessed something, and their eyes were filled with uncontrollable fear. Surname Chu. Could it be that person? Who? Idiot, there's only one person with the surname Chu in this world, and he's even a young immortal seed. Of course he's the most famous one. TSK. The immortal slaying Chu Kuangren. That's right, it's that immortal slaying Mr. 13 from the 100 Academy. Thank goodness we didn't fight just now. The cultivator who yelled at Chu Kuangren earlier was so scared that his face had turned pale. He had just taken a trip to the gates of hell. Phew. Thank goodness I came in time. Otherwise, he could have killed all of you with just one hand. The cultivator who rushed over said. I thought Chu Kuangren was in closed-door meditation and didn't come. Who knows? But since he's here, I'm afraid there's going to be more variables in this exploration of Penglai Island. Inside Penglai Island, there were countless restrictions on the island. Although most of them were broken, it was still not something an ordinary cultivator could withstand. Most of the cultivators who came to explore the island were very careful, not daring to touch the restrictions. Of course, the risk was high, and the reward was high. There were countless opportunities of fortune on Penglai Island too. There were all kinds of supreme elixirs, rare treasures, and immortal techniques. This is amazing. This is just a fragment of Penglai Island. If it was the complete Penglai Island, how many opportunities of fortune would there be? Also, how powerful would the Jie school be at its peak? All the Buddhas pay their respects, and all the immortals pay their respects. It's not a groundless rumor after all. One of the cultivators who came to explore the island lamented. The people who came with him were also amazed. Suddenly, they heard the sound of fighting in front of them. They quickly rushed over and saw a group of people fighting over a treasure. It was a water droplet. The water droplet glowed brightly and intertwined with Taoist patterns. It was crystal clear. The surrounding cultivators were fighting over the water droplet. That's a drop of immortal dew. Tisk, immortal dew. It's an immortal dew that has absorbed the energy of an immortal. Judging from the energy fluctuations, this immortal dew is probably useful even to an immortal. Quick, hurry up. The newly arrived cultivators also joined the battle. The originally chaotic battlefield became even more chaotic. Get lost. At that moment, an indifferent voice resounded. An old man in a green robe arrived, and a terrifying origin wave erupted. The cultivators who were fighting over it were immediately sent flying. He was a half-immortal. The half-immortal stretched out his hand to grab the immortal dew. But at that moment, a Buddhist light appeared, and a handsome young monk appeared in front of the half-immortal in a green robe. He punched out, and a terrifying golden Buddhist light erupted. The half-immortal of Green Mountain could not help but retreat dozens of feet. The little Arhat of Jinshan Temple. The half-immortal in a green robe looked at the person who came with a rather solemn expression. Benefactor, this item is fated with me. Can you give it to me? The little Arhat smiled faintly. No. The half-immortal in a green robe snorted coldly. As soon as he said that, a tyrannical and peerless pressure shrouded the little Arhat behind him, causing him to break out in a cold sweat. Looking behind the little Arhat, an old man in a golden-red kasaya was looking at him indifferently. His eyes were neither sad nor happy. It was as if he was looking at an ant. That was the immortal of Jinshan Temple. Chapter 997. The immortals of Buddhism were also known as Arhats. The green-robed half-immortal could clearly sense that the old monk in the golden-red kasaya was an Arhat. That kind of power was not something he could withstand. D*MN it. I can't believe I've encountered an Arhat. I'm no match for him. Retreat. The green-robed half-immortal took a deep breath and retreated. Seeing that, the old monk said, Amitba. Almsgiver, you're able to let go of your greed. You have great willpower. I'm impressed. The green-robed half-immortal almost vomited blood when he heard that. What do you mean by letting go of my greed? F***CKU. If not for the fact that I'm no match for you, I wouldn't have let go of my greed. However, the young monk ignored him. He looked at the immortal dew in front of him with a hint of joy in his eyes. He raised his hand and grabbed it. At that moment, an invisible wave spread, and the immortal dew seemed to be pulled by an invisible force towards a certain direction. The young monk's eyes turned cold. How dare you snatch something in front of me? He took a step forward, crossing the spatial distance to grab that drop of celestial nectar. However, in the next instant, a formless force exploded and sent him flying. So what? What else do you want? A cold, lazy voice was heard as the immortal dew flew into the hands of a white-robed young man. The young man looked at the immortal dew in his hand, opened his mouth, and swallowed the immortal dew right in front of everyone. This scene left everyone's jaws agape. After all, the immortal dew contained a huge amount of energy. Even an immortal seed king would have to be careful when absorbing it. However, this person in front of them just swallowed it like that. Was this guy out of his mind? Was he not afraid of exploding and dying? However, what surprised everyone was that the person in front of them did not seem to be injured at all. The immortal dew was no different from an ordinary drop of dew. After it was swallowed, there was no more movement. This puzzled the crowd. It's him. Suddenly, one of the cultivators exclaimed. The others also reacted. They couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air as they looked at the handsome young man in white robes before them. It was Chu Kuangren. He's here at the immortal Penglai Island? F***CK, didn't they say he was in seclusion? No wonder he has the guts to rob Jinshan Temple. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. Even the junior Arhat could not help but reveal a hint of fear in his eyes. You're the Chu Kuangren who killed Hui Fa. Chu Kuangren was using his universal cauldron physique to absorb the immortal dew's energy and store it in every cell in his body. This was also one of the strengths of the heaven and earth furnace physique. As long as the energy wasn't too excessive, it could be stored. He had also heard Arhat's words. However, he was stunned for a moment. Huifa, who is that? Hearing his words, everyone's mouth twitched. Huifa was one of the 12 immortal seed kings. You killed him, but you don't have any impression of him. No matter what, it was still a king immortal seed. Humph, you're playing dumb. The Arhat coldly snorted. I remember now. Hui Fa, the monk who sent me the three-headed six-armed resentful Buddha, right? Chu Kuangren said. Everyone was speechless. So in the eyes of others, Huifa was just a boy who gave away money? Speaking of the three-headed six-armed resentful Buddha, it's an immortal weapon that the Jinshan Temple obtained after suppressing the demonic Buddha sect. Please return it. The junior Arhat said. What if I say no? Chu Kuangren laughed. Then don't blame me for being rude. The junior Arhat's eyes narrowed as a large amount of Buddhist light gushed out of his body. This Buddhist light intertwined on the surface of his body and dyed his body with a layer of golden paint, giving him a sense of solemnity and holiness. A terrifying might burst forth from the other party's body. Invincible golden body technique. The junior Arhat's expression was extremely serious. He put his hands together and a surge of golden strength swept in all directions with him as the center. Many immortal seeds were swept away by this force. This is the Golden Mountain Temple's invincible golden body technique. I heard that this is an immortal technique that even the little sage monk Hui Fa failed to cultivate, but this junior Arhat succeeded. Looks like he's the strongest immortal seed hidden by the Golden Mountain Temple. The invincible golden body technique is said to be indestructible and indestructible. With unparalleled offensive and defensive capabilities, it can be said to be the strongest immortal technique of the Golden Mountain Temple. Even Chu Kuangren would have trouble with it. Tisk tsk, I've only heard of this immortal technique in rumors. Looks like I'll have a chance to see its power today. The immortal seeds looked at the junior Arhat in amazement. The junior Arhat also knew that Chu Kuangren's strength was extraordinary, so after fully activating the invincible golden body technique, he took out an immortal-grade exorcism pestle and flew towards Chu Kuangren. Let this little monk see how strong you are when you defy the heavens and slay immortals. The junior Arhat let out a low roar and smashed the pestle towards Chu Kuangren. The terrifying Buddhist light contained within it was enough to shatter a star. However, Chu Kuangren stood his ground and casually punched out. His fist was surrounded by an unknown amount of origin energy, and everyone could only see a bright immortal glow. Then, there was a cracking sound, as if something had broken. Everyone looked over and saw that the intertwining Taoist patterns on the junior Arhat's golden body had collapsed and shattered under Chu Kuangren's punch. With a loud bang, the junior Arhat, who was stronger than Hui Fa, turned into a cloud of blood mist and exploded. The exorcism pestle fell to the ground and its light dimmed. Amidst the rain of blood, Chu Kuangren let out a soft sigh and said with some annoyance, "Ah, I used too much strength." Silence. The immortal seeds were a little confused. Did he have to be so fierce? One punch. A king immortal seed who was walking on the path of immortalhood had exploded. What kind of power was that? The green-robed half-immortal swallowed his saliva with a face full of horror. He felt that he would probably end up the same if he were to face that punch. How strong is this person? Just when everyone was in shock, a wave of immortal essence suddenly erupted. They saw the Golden Mountain Temple's Arhat looking at Chu Kuangren with a gloomy face. His eyes were filled with uncontrollable anger and regret. He initially thought that with the junior Arhat's strength, even if he was no match for Chu Kuangren, he would not be easily killed. With him around, if anything happened, he could save him in time. However, he did not expect, it was an instant kill. The junior Arhat was killed the moment he made a move. Even if he wanted to save him, it was too late. If he knew this would happen, he would have stopped the junior Arhat. That was the only king immortal seed left in the Golden Mountain Temple. Chu Kuangren. First you killed Hui Fa, then you killed the junior Arhat. You and the Golden Mountain Temple are irreconcilable. The old monk said coldly. He took a step forward and a terrifying wave of immortal essence continued to spread. The surrounding immortal seeds quickly retreated. They could not withstand the anger of an immortal, even if it was just the aftermath. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, stood in place with an indifferent expression. He chuckled and said, "Then may I ask, was it me who wanted to kill first? If a monk does not cultivate good karma, who can be blamed for his death? And you're already an Arhat but still so angry. I don't mind sending you to meet the Buddha." Chapter 998. I don't mind sending you to meet the Buddha as well. Chu Kuangren said. As soon as he said that, surges of origin energy surged out of his body and surrounded him. His celestial aura shone brightly, making him look like a supreme immortal king. The powerful origin energy made the old monk wary. However, as an Arhat, he was confident that he could defeat Chu Kuangren. Rumor has it that you've defied the heavens and killed immortals, but you only defeated a half-crippled lower-tier immortal. Don't you dare compare me to the flaming sun immortal. Besides, the sword crown is not with you right now. How are you going to defeat me? Chu Kuangren, go to hell. The old monk said coldly. He raised his hand and grabbed the exorcism scepter in the air. Then, he struck it out and a dazzling golden Buddhist light broke through the air and flew towards Chu Kuangren. The powerful immortal core energy enveloped Chu Kuangren. Ha, is that all you've got? Chu Kuangren focused his sword fingers and surges of origin energy gathered at his fingertips. The thousand lotus sword intent erupted, and wherever the sword ray passed, lotuses would form in the air. Boom! The sword ray and Buddhist light collided. The void exploded. However, the sword light was like a hot knife through butter. It shattered the Buddhist light and slashed towards the old monk. Its sharpness made the spectators feel as if their bodies were about to be torn apart. All of them could not help but be shocked and their hearts palpitated. The old monk's eyes narrowed. What? He waved his demon-subduing pestle and shot out another ray of Buddhist light. Only then did he manage to shatter the sword light. However, he did not feel happy at all. On the contrary, his heart was filled with extreme fear. A casual sword ray could shatter his Buddhist light. What kind of power was that? Immortal. And it was not even a lower-tier immortal. It was at least comparable to a middle-tier immortal. Chu Kuangren had yet to embark on the immortal path, but he already had the combat strength of a middle-tier immortal. How was this possible? The old monk was extremely shocked. However, Chu Kuangren did not give him time to be shocked. He focused his sword fingers and unleashed the thousand lotus sword intent. Rays of purple light blossomed in the void and dispersed into countless petals. Each petal was a cold sword ray. The countless petals were countless sword rays that intertwined in the void, forming an inescapable net that covered the old monk. Heaven-weaving sword chi. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The old monk let out a long roar and pushed the celestial essence in his body to the extreme. Buddha light enveloped him completely and turned into a Buddha image. This Dharma idol was solemn and sacred. Vast Buddhist light swept through the world, crazily attacking the inescapable net of sword chi. But even so, the Buddha avatar was still inevitably torn apart by the sword chi before shattering into countless specks of light. If this goes on, will I die? No. How can I die here? The old monk spat out a mouthful of golden blood essence onto the staff in his hand, then threw it away with a furious roar. The demon-subduing pestle that was stained with the Arhat's blood essence blossomed with a resplendent brilliance and burst forth with an extremely powerful might, tearing a hole in the sword chi. The old monk took the opportunity to rush out. As for the demon-vanquishing pestle, he threw it away right away. It was obvious how much pressure Chu Kuangren had placed on him. Now, the only thought left in his mind was to escape. The old monk turned into a stream of light and flew into the distance. How fast can an Arhat run away with all his might? In the blink of an eye, he had traveled millions of miles. He had even escaped into the void. However, even though he was desperately trying to escape, a white figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Chu Kuangren. This is not the way to the Western Paradise. Chu Kuangren said calmly. He had the spatial conveyance technique. Wherever his immortal consciousness could reach, that was where he could move. In terms of speed, few in this world could catch up to him. Even immortals were no exception. Chu Kuangren. Forgive and forget. Do you really want to fight to the death with the Golden Hill Temple? What good will that do to you? The old monk said with a panicked expression. I want to kill you. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. All I want is for my mind to be clear. Chu Kuangren said calmly. He focused his sword fingers and surges of origin energy poured out. Seal after seal of testimony floated above his head. How is this possible? The old monk's pupils shrunk to the size of a needle. Hundreds of quintessence energies and a few dozen seal of verification. What exactly is going on? What kind of cultivation monster was this person? The old monk swore that the scene before him was the most unbelievable thing he had ever seen in his life. Not only him, but the other cultivators who witnessed the scene were also dumbfounded. It was as if their worldview had collapsed. At that moment, Chu Kuangren had already made his move. He swung his sword fingers. The thousand lotus sword intent that was buffed by both origin energy and seal of testimony erupted. A dazzling purple sword ray whizzed out. Wherever it passed, the void collapsed. Under such a sword ray, the old monk was effortlessly destroyed by the sword chi. His immortal body and immortal soul turned into ashes. He's dead, Chu Kuangren has defied the heavens and killed an immortal again. He's not killing a broken immortal. He's killing a real immortal at his peak. He really has the ability to kill immortals. Monster. After killing the old monk, Chu Kuangren ignored the others and kept the exorcism pestle on the ground. It was an immortal weapon after all. Although he could not use it, it was still a good thing to exchange for immortal spirit marrows. There were many opportunities of fortune on Penglai Island. On that day, a cultivator from an immortal orthodoxy coincidentally broke the seal of a cave abode. Suddenly, a terrifying wave of energy spread across the entire Penglai Island. A crimson dragon shadow appeared in the sky, shaking the universe. When the dragon's shadow dissipated, all the cultivators who came to explore the island sensed it and looked in the direction of the dragon's shadow. Their eyes lit up. This energy wave. Is it an immortal weapon? What a powerful immortal weapon wave. Let's go take a look. This kind of immortal weapon wave. Could it be a top-notch immortal weapon? No, I'm afraid it's more than that. It's a true immortal weapon. There's a true immortal weapon hidden in this Penglai Island fragment. Oh my god, I can't miss this opportunity of fortune. In the Green Orchid Immortal Realm, an immortal weapon is already a rare treasure, let alone a true immortal weapon. All the cultivators rushed to where the dragon's shadow was. Meanwhile, somewhere else. A young man in a crimson robe looked into the distance with a glint in his eyes. This feeling. It's a summon from the bloodline. Could that immortal weapon be related to the dragon tribe? The young man and an old man behind him moved immediately. At the location of the immortal weapon. One by one, the cultivators arrived. The cave abode where the immortal weapon was kept had already been blown up. A crimson rope was wrapped around a stone pillar in the cave abode. Treasure light flowed on it, and Tao patterns intertwined. Waves of incomparably powerful and mysterious immortal weapon waves spread out. That's the immortal weapon. A rope? What kind of immortal weapon is that? The cultivators from the various orthodoxies arrived one by one. Gong Yu from the Yuqing immortal sect arrived as well. She looked at the rope in surprise. Could this be the legendary dragon taming rope? Mr. First of the Academy also clicked his tongue in wonder. The dragon taming rope is rumored to be a treasure used by a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal of the Jie School. Its level is far beyond that of a genuine immortal artifact. This dragon taming rope should be just an imitation. Although it's an imitation, its power is still extraordinary. Chapter 999. With the appearance of the replica dragon taming rope, countless cultivators came one after another. Everyone looked at the immortal weapon with a fiery gaze. A perfected immortal artifact was too rare in the Qinglan immortal world, and it was sufficient to cause immortals to fight for it and cause wars between orthodoxies. Roar, a dragon roar rang out, and two crimson dragon shadows soared into the sky, turning into an old man and a young man. Everyone's eyes were filled with fear when they saw this. They're from the Divine Dragon Island. That's the young master of the Scarlet Dragon bloodline. It is rumored that although Divine Dragon Island's 5 attribute young masters don't enter the world, they are all kings of immortal seeds. I think this person is the same. The Dragon Clan has come to fight for the immortal artifact as well. When the Crimson Dragon young master arrived at the scene and saw the dragon binding rope, his eyes burned with passion. This is Dragon Tendon. Furthermore, this is a true immortal level tendon, and it's a pure-blooded true dragon at that. Even the red-haired dragon immortal behind him couldn't sit still. One should know that most of the dragons in the Qinglan immortal world were not pure-blooded. The true dragon bloodline was thin. The dragon tendon of a pure-blooded true dragon was of great significance to them. It was even more important than a perfected immortal weapon. If I can obtain this dragon tendon and refine it, then not only will I be able to obtain a true celestial artifact, but I can also purify my bloodline. That dragon tendon is mine to increase my cultivation talent. The Scarlet Dragon young master said with a fiery gaze. The crimson-haired dragon immortal looked warily at the other immortals and said, "This dragon tendon is of great significance to the dragon clan. Please, everyone, take a step back and let us have it. Hearing this, everyone looked at each other. The influence of the dragon race was huge. If it were any other ordinary immortal weapon, they would have given it to the other party if they wanted it. However, this dragon binding rope was a true immortal weapon. It was uncertain whether they could find a second perfected immortal weapon in the Qinglan immortal world. How could they just give it up like that? Even if they were from the dragon race, they weren't useless either. Long Xian, this dragon binding rope is very valuable. I'm afraid you won't be able to monopolize it just because you said so. An immortal said indifferently. That's right. Although the dragon clan is powerful, it's impossible for them to fend off so many of our orthodoxies by themselves. I can't just give this immortal item to you. The others had the same idea. The scarlet-haired dragon immortal's eyes flashed coldly, but he also knew that it was not wise to start a conflict with so many immortals. And, she's here too. The red-haired dragon immortal looked at Gong Yu. The person who stood at the peak of the Qinglan immortal world. Let me make a suggestion. At this moment, Gong Yu spoke. As soon as she spoke, everyone looked at her. As the sect master of the Yuqing immortal sect, one of the few people at the peak of the Qinglan immortal world, she was the leader of the Yuqing immortal sect. She was definitely the strongest among the immortals present. Everyone wants this immortal item, but if immortals fight, it'll be hard to avoid the repercussions. Why don't we have the immortal seeds of our sect spar with each other, and then use the seeds to decide who gets the immortal item? Gong Yu said lightly. Her words caused everyone to sink into silence. Indeed. If a battle were to erupt between so many immortals here, then it would definitely affect a great number of people. No matter how many died, it would be a heavy blow to their sections. Letting the immortal seeds fight was not a bad idea. To a certain extent, the immortal seeds also represented the heritage of each sect. If the immortal seeds were to lose, then the immortals of the sect would not be in a good position to fight. Alright, that's fine. Then we'll do as Immortal Gong Yu suggested. Then let's see whose immortal seeds can suppress the crowd. Immortal Gong Yu smiled faintly. Then, she raised her hand and gathered the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, mountains, and rivers. In the void, a large amount of immortal light filled the air, and a golden arena appeared out of thin air. It was filled with all kinds of prohibition spells. The immortals felt that even if they attacked with all their strength, it would be difficult to shake the arena that Gong Yu had created. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but be amazed and secretly praised. Is this the peak existence of the Qinglan immortal world? This method is indeed extraordinary. Gathering the spiritual energy of the immortal world, this is the method of an earth immortal. Judging from the scale of the spiritual energy, Gong Yu has already reached the peak of the earth immortal level, and even stepped into the heaven immortal level. Heaven immortals are the only heaven immortals. In the entire Qinglan immortal world, only the dean of the college, the sovereign of the demon court, and a few others might be heaven immortals. Could Gong Yu be a heaven immortal? Gong Yu's casual display of power was enough to shock the immortals. Their eyes were filled with fear, and they were even more willing to let the immortal seeds participate in the battle. If the immortals were to fight, who would be Gong Yu's opponent? Instead of fighting an immortal battle that they had no confidence in, it was better to let the immortal seeds fight. Perhaps there would be a chance of obtaining the immortal weapon. Those who want to obtain the immortal weapon, come up to this arena and try. The last one standing on this arena will obtain the dragon taming rope. Gong Yu smiled faintly. As soon as she finished speaking, Yan Honghua, who was next to her, took a step forward and leaped onto the arena. She scanned the audience. Who's up? What an impatient person. Gong Yu shook her head helplessly. I'll test the ability of the Son of Destiny. An indifferent voice was heard. A beam of light flew out and landed on the arena. It was Dugayu from Linghuang Mountain. He was also a king of immortal seeds and specialized in swordsmanship. Come. Yan Honghua smiled faintly. The two of them exchanged blows in an instant. A spear, a sword. The two weapons collided in the void, each shining brilliantly. Bang, 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 shockwaves continuously exploded in the void. Lan Yu, who was not far away, was surprised. Honghua's strength is improving very quickly. Is this the power of the Son of Destiny? She secretly compared herself to Yan Honghua. Although she would not lose, it would not be easy for her to win. After a fierce battle, Duguyu was hit in the shoulder by a spear and was sent flying. His shoulder was bleeding profusely. I lost. Duguyu shook his head and retreated from the arena. The people from Linghuang Mountain were enraged. The Son of Destiny. Let me have a go. A dragon's roar resounded. The young master of the Red Dragon tribe came to the arena. His domineering dragon's might swept out like a tsunami, crushing the heaven and earth. Yan Honghua's eyes were solemn. Oh, come on then. Why don't you count me in? At that moment, Lin Yan from the Divine Fire cult could not sit still anymore. He leaped onto the arena and Divine Fire surrounded him. It's too troublesome to fight one by one. I think this arena is big enough. Why don't we pick our opponents and fight them together? Yuan Su's figure flashed and he also came to the arena. An extremely powerful and domineering wave of origin energy flowed out. It was not inferior to the dragon's might of the young master of the Red Dragon tribe. That's what I was thinking. The Saber King also came to the arena. With a long saber in hand, the sword Resentment Chi was boiling. Gu Wuqing and Gu Lufang also made their moves. A chaotic battle between celestial seeds seemed to be unavoidable. At that moment, ripples appeared in the void. A leg came out of the void and landed on the arena. It was accompanied by a horrifying pressure that swept out from the void like an endless gale. Everyone's pupils shrank as they looked at the void. They saw a figure in white walking out of the void. That person was handsome and had a disdainful look in his eyes. The immortal seeds have gathered and the ownership of the immortal weapons will be decided in one battle. How can I miss out on this? Why don't you all come together? Chapter 1000. Why don't all of you come at me together? A white-robed figure walked out of the void. His arrogant words shocked everyone at the scene. When the crowd saw him, they were either shocked or surprised, but no one doubted his words or his abilities. That was because the person in front of them was the immortal slaying Chu Kuangren. King. Yan Honghua looked at Chu Kuangren with joy. Chu Kuangren noticed her too. He was a little surprised, but now was not the time to reminisce, so he just smiled and nodded. Then, he looked at the other immortal seeds calmly. The other celestial seeds were also looking at him, their gazes filled with fear. Chu Kuangren is here. I didn't expect this. D*MN. Now that he's here, what should we do? Even the immortals' expressions changed. Initially, they let the immortal seeds fight because they felt that the immortal seeds' strengths were similar, and they all had a chance of getting the immortal weapons. But now, Chu Kuangren had appeared. An extraordinary immortal slaying immortal seed. How were they supposed to compete against such an immortal seed? Chu Kuangren. You're finally here. A cold voice was heard. The Saber King looked at Chu Kuangren, the sword Resentment Chi on his body boiling, and the long saber in his hand let out a saber hum. Oh, you're the Saber King. Ha, looks like you've improved quite a bit. Chu Kuangren curiously looked at the Saber King before him. He activated the spirit of omniscience and analyzed his opponent's information. The humiliation you gave me last time, I will return it to you today. The Saber King said coldly. The sword Resentment Chi on his body circulated to its limit, and he suddenly slashed at Chu Kuangren. Wherever the saber ray passed, the void seemed to be filled with ghostly wails. However, Chu Kuangren stood still and did not move. When the saber ray got close to him, it was disintegrated by an invisible force. It could not even touch the corner of his clothes. What? The Saber King's eyes narrowed. The origin energy within his body surged again, and the sword Resentment Chi shot into the sky. It turned from a sword into a saber and turned into a giant saber shadow. A shrill sword hum tore through the sky. Avicii 3 Saber, 1000 Ghost Eradication. The giant saber shadow slashed down. In the void of space, countless phantoms of wraiths appeared one after another. The power of that attack had already reached the level of a top-notch half-immortal, but Chu Kuangren was still unfazed by it. Without using any techniques, he simply waved his sleeves and easily shattered that terrifying saber shadow. Impossible. At that moment, even the sword burial seas immortals could no longer sit still. They stared at Chu Kuangren with their eyes wide open in disbelief. The Saber King was also stunned. However, in the next instant, Chu Kuangren appeared in front of him. Is this the extent of your progress? His indifferent voice and calm eyes made it seem as if he was facing an insignificant ant, unable to cause the slightest fluctuation in his emotions. No, no. It's impossible for him to be this strong. The Saber King roared inwardly. He raised his long saber and once again swung it at Chu Kuangren with all his might. Avicii Dao's 3 blades, all things perish. As the blade slashed down, a bone-chilling coldness gushed out from the blade, causing all the immortal seeds present to shudder. Clang! The saber was blocked in midair. However, the thing that blocked the attack was a finger. It was a slender finger that was as fair as jade. It was glowing with an immortal radiance as it stopped the blade. The blade that could annihilate all things was unable to harm the finger at all, much less move it in the slightest. Gulp, the immortal seeds could not help but gulp. It was too terrifying. What kind of terrifying strength was that? No, this is impossible. The Saber King's eyes were filled with madness, brutality, and a deep sense of shock. He waved the saber in his hand like a madman. One after another, he slashed at Chu Kuangren. However, all of them were blocked by a single finger. Looks like this is all you've got. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Then, he made his move. This was the first time he took the initiative to attack since he appeared in the arena. He focused his sword finger and pointed it forward. That finger attack was nothing special. However, there was no way to avoid it. That finger attack tore through the saber net like it was nothing. It then landed on the Saber King's chest and sent him flying. One finger attack defeated the Saber King. That did not even count as a technique. Weak, too weak. Sword burial sea technique, so that's all there is to it. Chu Kuangren stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently. His gaze swept across the crowd, and the aura on his body swept out like a raging wave, wave after wave, crashing into the entire arena. The immortal seeds looked extremely serious. So this is the legendary Chu Kuangren. He's really powerful. This aura is not to be underestimated. Even children of destiny like Ling Yan, Yuan Su, and celestial seed rulers like the Crimson Dragon Young Master found it extremely difficult to deal with. Let's attack together. One of the immortal seeds suddenly said. That person was also one of the 12 celestial seed rulers. He was usually arrogant, but now he suggested that they join forces. Let's attack together. This person's strength is too strong. Only by joining forces will we have a chance to defeat him. The immortal seed's eyes were filled with determination. That's right. If we don't defeat him, the immortal weapon will not be ours. Only by defeating him can we fight for the immortal weapon. The immortal seeds looked at each other and made a decision. Yan Honghua initially wanted to help Chu Kuangren, but Lan Yu stopped her and said with a smile, Master, you alone are enough. She did not know how strong Chu Kuangren was. However, the tip of the iceberg that he had shown during their interactions was already far beyond her reach. Even if the immortal seeds joined forces, they would not be a match for him. Chu Kuangren, today, I'll let you have a taste of defeat. The domineering origin energy on Yuan Su's body was activated to its limit, and a long sword with immortal radiance appeared in his hand. With the sword in hand, his domineering aura was enhanced. The Crimson Dragon young master's body was surrounded by flames, and his scales were faintly discernible. His origin energy poured out like lava, and it was terrifying. This dragon tendon is mine today. In order to purify his bloodline, the Crimson Dragon young master was determined to get his hands on the dragon taming rope. I heard that you've defeated Huishin Huang, but don't you dare compare me to him. I'm a child of destiny. Lin Yen shouted coldly. Many types of divine flames revolved around his body. The rest of the immortal seeds' auras were also activated to their limits. Even a true immortal would be defeated and killed by the group of top-notch immortal seeds in the Azure Orchid Immortal realm. However, Chu Kuangren remained calm and arrogant. You may be standing at the peak of the immortal seeds, and you may even have the ability to fight beyond your cultivation, but I, Chu Kuangren, as he took a step forward, surges of origin energy seeped out of his body. His immortal radiance shone brightly, and his terrifying aura swept across the void. It was as if an immortal king had descended upon the world. Only once throughout the ages, one man shall reign supreme throughout the ages.